for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run or hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives, we can't just weep. Elected power, but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life matters is the cry we sing for the ones they try to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run or hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. Heal the wounds, undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall. For justice and truth, we'll risk it all. My life matters is the cry we sing. Together we rise, let freedom ring.
Hello, good evening, social change warriors and justice seekers. Welcome to another episode of our Wednesday night social change warriors, the Angry Bitch Club, where we get together and we can say anything we want. We can complain, we can bitch, we can be mad, because there is a lot of corruption going on out there and a lot of crime and a lot of injustice to women. So Wednesdays is our Women Empowerment Night, where we honor women who are victims of domestic violence and their families who are fighting for justice for them. Now, occasionally, we also bring on women who are fighting for justice for their departed spouses or a family member. Their case may not qualify. Thursdays, we are covering absolute crime and corruption that we 90% know has to do with police not handling the case properly, corruption in the government, corruption within the police department. Wednesdays, we are focusing in on domestic violence victims and their families and trying to get justice for their unsolved deaths. But in some cases, we bring on a special guest on Wednesdays that has to do with the death of a male, could be their brother, their father, their husband. So we will have Jason Veach joining us again tonight, and we will be talking more about her dear departed husband, Jason Veach, who unfortunately passed away in October of 2023. So that'll be going on 2 years this coming fall. So welcome, everyone. It's great to be back on another Wednesday. And I hope that you are all doing well and that you've had a good week since we saw you last Friday for Friday Night Lies. So I am your host, your founder of Social Change Warriors. And we are a movement of justice seekers. We are looking for justice for victims of major crimes for most cases, but there will be instances where we come across white collar crimes where no unaliving has occurred, but an injustice has been done to that community by corrupt police and corrupt government, like we found in Indiana, where we will be meeting again soon with our retired law enforcement officer friend, Ed Byers. There were some more interesting developments. They are not done Calling Out Corruption Yet in Indiana. So we will be having him on soon on a Thursday night on our Calling Out Corruption night. So we are about knowledge, power, action, and change. We really believe that those 4 pillars are what can help our communities be together, grow together, and root out that crime and corruption that's going on and the injustices that we have in our communities around this country. So thank you again for joining us on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And always happy to have you live. If you can't make it live, I understand. There's a lot of great content out there. There's a lot going on in all your lives. So we're happy to see you on the replay, and we appreciate that. Make sure you leave comments on the replay and subscribe to us if you would like to. We'd really appreciate it. And like I said, Wednesdays is our Women Empowerment Night, where our Angry Bees buzz around and we empower women and their families. Thursdays is Calling Out Corruption, where we focus on communities where corruption is going on, like in Massachusetts with the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe case, which is, a very sad example of how far corruption can go. And Fridays, we're currently going over the case, the trial of Karen Reed 1.0. The 2.0 is supposed to be coming up here in April. So we'll be covering that. And also right now, we're just going over what we believed were a lot of lies that were told by the supposed witnesses that were, to me, they didn't witness a darn thing because they didn't see anything. There were no witnesses to the death of John O'Keefe. So that's what makes it interesting that they still call them witnesses, but to me, they're persons of interest. And me and a lot of others that come on Friday nights believe that there was a lot of lies told. So we're calling out the lies on Friday Night Lies, and we hope you can join us for that as well. So tonight, I just wanted to start out, Kara's finishing up at work. So before she joins us, I just wanted to let you all know that typically on Wednesdays, we are standing for victims of domestic violence. There is a way that domestic violence can be ended. It can be stopped. The research tells us that there is a way to end domestic violence and to get the perpetrators into counseling before it escalates into a situation where it can't be taken back, which is sadly what we have with the ladies that we have been standing for. And I just want to remind you all that every 9 seconds in America, a woman is beaten, and this is proven research. And if you don't believe me, I am happy to chat with you. You can get a hold of me via my email. I'll put that up near the end of our hour and a half together tonight. You can DM me, you can PM me, all the things that, all the acronyms that we use for all the social medias where you can privately talk to me. And if you're interested in this statistic and want to know more, I can share those research articles with you. And they're just statistics. When someone dies, it is entered into our, there's a system that tells us how they passed away. So, unfortunately, it is now every 9 seconds that a woman is being attacked and beaten up by her husband, boyfriend, former boyfriend. It's really horrific, but it can be prevented. So I just wanted to remind you, the ladies that we're currently standing for, and just remind you that there is, it wavers between 82% and 92%. I'll do research and it'll be back. It just depends on, what is going on and how often someone is passing away and it's being recorded as a domestic violence homicide or a domestic violence M word unaliving. So latest figures are showing between 82 and 92%. This was a study from 2018. The one I recently saw was from 2021, which said 82%. So it's somewhere in that range. And I'll correct this slide and give you more of a little bit broader range. But it's a big number, folks, and it's horrific. And it's by someone they know, by a man they know. And 63% of that back in 18, it was their husband, boyfriend, or an ex-boyfriend, ex-husband. So it makes the person you're dating or married to or were the most dangerous person in your life. And that is what happened to these 3 lovely young ladies who had their whole lives ahead of them. Suzanne Morphew on the left, Ellen Greenberg on the top with the dark hair, and Sandra Birchmore, the photo below. And we have been advocating for justice for them, for arrests to be made. We have one arrest made in the Sandra Birchmore case, which I'll talk about in a second, just as we're waiting for Kara to arrive tonight. It's just sad. So we have come up with our hashtag My Life Mattered. I hope you could share that out and share out anything that you can having to do with preventing domestic violence when you're on your social medias in honor of the ladies who lost their lives. These are Ellen Greenberg's parents. Sandy and Josh Greenberg, and they fought for their daughter for the past since 2011. There has never been an arrest made. There is a lot of evidence pointing to her fiance at the time. And we are hoping now that they finally won a court battle. And there's many live streams about Ellen Greenberg. If you go to our library, you can check those out. I'll be doing updates again soon as they come in. And it's just a horrific story about a beautiful young teacher whose life was taken from her because of what I believe and many others believe, including her family, was a domestic violence ongoing situation that ended in 20 stab wounds to Ellen. And they ruled it a unaliving by herself, which is the S word we're not allowed to use anymore on YouTube, apparently. But that's what it was. And it still is that. We're waiting now. Her parents won their most recent court issue battle with the city of Philadelphia, and the medical examiner that is currently in place is now re-examining all of the evidence. The former medical examiner admitted that he was wrong. He wrote a letter right before the court hearing started. This was close to 3 weeks ago now, almost a month. And it's a terrible, tragic case with way too much corruption. So we have been mainly covering Ellen's case on Thursday nights because we believe that it is corrupt government and police involved. Sandra Birchmore, same corrupt covering up of, they made it out like it was her own fault that she unalived herself, which many of us have followed the case from the beginning knew that wasn't true at all. The evidence wasn't pointing there. And then it, of course, came out that she had been groomed as a police explorer by this nasty person. I don't even like to say his name and give him anything, but Matthew Farwell, and he has been arrested. So we do have one arrest now, but he has yet to see a judge. It keeps getting backed up and pushed off and backed up, and it's just ridiculous. But we do believe that all of these other former officers, but Robert Devane has yet to lose his license to practice as a law enforcement officer. So that's been ongoing. He's been in, I've been following his court hearings. They're not publicized. You can't really see them, but there was updates recently. So I'll do a live stream about Ellen and update you on Ellen and Sandra Birchmore's cases, what we know. In fact, we may cover that tomorrow night. But his twin brother, was definitely in on the grooming. And so was this other gentleman, I don't want to call him a gentleman, Joshua Heel. He was a safety school officer. He admitted to having sex with Sandra, but he says it was when she was over 18, but I don't believe any of these lying pieces of crap. And so sorry, but that's just what they are. So we'll get more updates on that. And then dear Suzanne Morphew, we believe, me and a lot of other people out there that are standing for Suzanne Morphew, that she was also in a domestic violence situation and was unalived by her former husband. Well, they were still married, but they were about to go through a divorce, a contentious divorce. He was arrested once. They had to release him because they felt they didn't have enough to take it to trial, which is what they should have done to Karen Reed, right? They really didn't have enough to take that to trial to ensure that a jury, because those are the parameters, that if you're going to arrest someone and you're going to indict them, that you have to have enough evidence that you feel strongly that a jury is going to find them guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And for Karen Reed's case, also in Massachusetts, that extra caveat of beyond a moral certainty, which they most certainly never had. And they didn't have the reasonable doubt either, which is why there was a hung jury, which I don't understand. I just think she should have been, exonerated, but now she's going to trial too. Now, what happened with Barry Morphew is they arrested him. They felt they had plenty of evidence, but then they weren't able to locate Suzanne. She was missing for 2 years. So they had to release him. They did it in such a way with the courts that he can be rearrested if there is evidence that comes up. So they did find her, and it was completely serendipitous because they were looking for another missing woman. And this was, I believe, close to 30, 40 miles from where Suzanne lived. So the fact they found her was a miracle, because whoever buried her in this shallow grave never thought she'd be found. I can guarantee you, never thought. So I'm still hopeful. There's not a lot of information coming out on this. It's not considered a cold case. It's still an open, active investigation. So I'm still hopeful based on all the evidence that I've seen, and we will donate time to Suzanne. We haven't done a full program, a live stream on her yet, but we will do that because she deserves it. So Our other ladies that we've been standing for while we're waiting for Kara to join us shortly are missing. So they have not been found as what happened with Suzanne. She was missing and presumed unalived. We have Sarah Ebersol, the case here in Florida that you all know. I've been live streaming with her sister Michelle quite frequently. We have some new updates hopefully coming to you soon. So we will definitely be having a live stream just for Sarah probably next week. She's been missing for almost 2 years, March 3rd. Suzanne Clark Simpson, case out of San Antonio, Texas. She's been missing now since I believe it was just October or November. We have yet to do a full live on her, but we will as well. She is still missing. Her husband has been arrested. They did find substantial evidence which lead them to believe that she was unalive. So they have had a memorial service for her. All contact, phones, social medias, no one's seen her. It's just horrific. And sadly, Ashley was unalived by her former boyfriend. He faked a hair appointment with her, made it out like he was someone else, and led her to her demise, unfortunately. And she is also still missing, but they do believe that she is no longer living based on the evidence. And it's just sad and horrible that this is happening to so many beautiful young women. So this is Sarah Ebersol. We'll be having a live stream about her soon. She's missing out of Marion County, Florida, and she has a young daughter who her ex has custody of, who we're concerned that he is definitely a suspect and a person of interest based on their domestic violence past, but he has not been arrested at this point. This person was also a person of interest, but again, not a lot of evidence for me pointing to this person. I believe that he may have given her a ride that night to her final destination, and then possibly her former ex Joe picked her up because they had made plans to meet. But they're the only two that aren't fully cooperating is her ex Joe and the person who picked her up. They think picked her up that night based on witnesses. So if you're not fully cooperating, why is that, right? So we have a lot of questions that aren't getting answers for Sarah, and she's been missing for almost 2 years, March 3rd. So this was the former husband of Suzanne Clark Simpson, and he has been arrested. They found evidence, sadly, on I believe, a saw in the garage with her DNA on, which is just frightening and despicable. So I'll be letting you know more about his arraignment, and if I don't even know if he's seen a judge yet either. And then sadly, we do know that Ashley Lachey Elkins is presumably not alive based on all the evidence they have in the apartment where they believe she was unalived, but they have not found her yet. And her past boyfriend is in custody. And again, it's domestic violence, and it's preventable. It shouldn't be happening. All these beautiful women should be alive. Jennifer Dulos is still missing, and her situation is that her ex unalived himself before they could take him to trial. And the girlfriend of the ex-husband, her ex-husband, they weren't officially divorced yet. They were going through divorce proceedings. He had a new girlfriend. She is in jail. She was convicted of being a party to a crime. I believe 14 years because they didn't have any evidence that she helped unalive poor and wonderful Jennifer, but they believed that she knew that he was going to do it. So they did present that to a jury, and the jury did find her guilty. And Michelle Troconis is serving 14 years in prison for knowing and not telling sooner, which could have gotten photos in jail sooner, where he could have sat until his trial. So there would be justice for the family. And he left this world without even telling her family where she was, which is just extra despicable. It's already so bad and horrible, but it makes it even worse. So we're still standing for Jennifer until in hopes that maybe someday her remains will be found and she can have a proper burial and a funeral. So last week we had Levita, a friend of mine who we were lucky enough to have her answer questions for you and with you. We showed her documentary on her survival of domestic violence. And we also met briefly with Angry Survivor, Sarah, who does engagements and speaking engagements for survivors of domestic violence. Wednesdays is also about the survivors. And they were able to get away and get out of their bad situations. But in Levita's case, her former boyfriend was arrested on another charge of domestic violence and went away for many years. And Angry Survivors former abuser is constantly stalking her to this day. So she is basically living undercover. Sarah is not her real name, and we will have her back again soon. She had tech issues last week, and we didn't get to hear the whole story of what's happening. She invited me to court with her in a Zoom meeting, but that hearing was pushed off. And so they're trying to give him some type of a plea deal from the most recent stalking of her. So it's absolutely a mess. She's in Massachusetts, and it's just a terrible situation where why is a person who's been stalking her and abusing her for over 12 years being offered a plea deal? So we'll learn more about that when Sarah, Angry Survivor, meets with us again on a upcoming Wednesday night. So thank you for letting me go over the ladies that we're standing for on Wednesdays. We support victims and survivors of domestic violence. There are 20,000 calls per day that are made to the domestic violence hotline, but many people like Levita never made that call. And if you watched her documentary, she explained why, and that is in our library. So if you go to our Social Change Warriors YouTube page, you can see Levita's, you can either watch it on last week's live, or you can watch it in the video. Go to the videos and you'll be able to see her domestic violence. That was a documentary that she made with me 2 years ago. So domestic violence is preventable. If you know anybody, if you even have an inkling that you suspect, try to do what you can. Stay safe, protect yourself. Domestic violence perpetrators are dangerous, and but they can get help. There is a cure for this type of anger management, this type of domestic violence. But once it goes too far, then the cure goes way down. The odds and percentage of any type of rehabilitation and cure go down more and more. And once they've unalived someone, well, then that's it, right? Then they're going to try to get away with it by hiding that person's body so it can never be found, so they can't be charged. We have all these people right now getting away with it because we truly believe that all the ladies we're standing for were unalived by their partners or former partner. So please help if you can. If you know anyone in this situation, do whatever you can to help them get to a domestic violence shelter. Call the domestic violence hotline. Here is the numbers for you to take down. And if you need to speak to me privately, I'm still in touch with many social workers that work in this field, and they are licensed social workers. They do counseling for domestic violence victims. And I can try to, I know people all over the country, so I can try to get you to the right place where you need to go. But this is the national hotline. So thank you for letting me do a recap of who we're standing for. In October, we focus all of our live shows on Wednesday nights for breast cancer survivors, domestic violence survivors and victims. And also October is also Infant and Child Loss Awareness Month. So we usually bring on a guest or two to talk about what a horrific just experience that is when you have lost a child. A good friend of mine is a social worker, and she works with women who have severe depression issues and PTSD after losing a child. And we also talk about postpartum depression, which is very, very dangerous. And I don't know if you've seen the news lately, but there was recently an unaliving of, I believe, 4 children by a mother who was suffering from postpartum depression from her youngest child and had been in counseling, and people knew that she was suffering and they were doing everything they could, and it wasn't enough. And she unalived all 4 of her children and herself. So this is a real problem. And if you know anybody who has any issues with postpartum depression, please reach out to someone, get a hold of a counselor or a therapist, because it is a very dangerous situation, and it's very severe, this level of depression, and it brings on suicidal ideations for not just themselves, but their children. So it's very horrific. All righty. So we are waiting for Kara, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jason Veach. So we have been standing with Kara for justice for her husband, Jason Veach. We met Kara back in September, and she told me a little bit about what happened to her husband. So for those of you that are new tonight that haven't been with us before, Jason was out partying, for lack of a better way to put it. And he unfortunately was drinking a lot that day, and he was riding his motorcycle and he was bar hopping with friends and just drank way too much alcohol. So when he arrived at the Cabbage Patch, which is a biker bar in Volusia County near New Smyrna Beach, Florida, he was quite intoxicated. And for whatever reason, he was just angry Jason that day, which everybody we've talked to, witnesses, Kara, their family, that was not common for Jason. So there was, maybe he'd had just a rough week that he wasn't sharing with anybody. Maybe the alcohol just didn't sit well with him that night. There were no other drugs in his system. So it wasn't a matter of anything like that. It was just alcohol. And alcohol can make people mad and mean, especially if they've already had some depression issues going on during that time frame. So that's why you have to be so careful with alcohol and how much you consume and when you're consuming it. And Kara has always been very honest about not being happy that he was out that day and that he drank that much and that he was riding his motorcycle. I mean, she doesn't condone it, obviously. I'm sure if he were with us, he wouldn't condone his behavior either. It was very out of character for him. So sadly, he went from the Cabbage Patch then to another bar down the street where he was quite intoxicated. And while he was there, the manager noticed his level of intoxication, and they actually had a noise complaint. It was very coincidental. They had a noise complaint at the same time as this level, as he was literally out in the parking lot with his motorcycle running and sitting there. And so the officer dealt with the noise complaint, the Volusia County Sheriff. And then this manager said, you need to go check him out. He shouldn't be driving. You need to make sure he doesn't drive. So that is what she did. And if you want to check that out, you can go back into our library on Social Change Warriors. And we showed the audio of that again last week. So feel free to go there and watch last week's show. It'll catch you up on everything. And we did show the audio again. So basically when Kara and I went to the sheriff's department to meet with a captain and lieutenant for questions that Kara had, questions that I had on Jason's behalf and Kara's behalf, we were basically told that she wasn't disciplined because she was using, her right of discretion, which police officers have the right to have discretion when they go on calls. They don't always have to arrest someone. Warnings can be given. And I'm sure some of you may have had warnings given to you in the past where you thought you were going to get a ticket. Typically, if it's an arrestable offense, you're probably not just getting a warning. But again, there is discretion even there, like with marijuana and with alcohol and with maybe paraphernalia in your car that you shouldn't have, but the officer decides to use his discretion or her discretion and just write you a warning. So there are cases where it's an arrestable offense, but you may just get a warning, and that is officer discretion. So that night, she chose to just walk away and not do anything about Jason. She basically said, I can smell alcohol in your breath. I can tell you've been drinking. You probably should, park that motorcycle, call a friend, call your wife. But then she still chose not to do anything about it. When I listened to the audio from her body camera, I was a little stunned because discretion is one thing, but when it's so obvious that person is drinking to the point of high intoxication and they're either in a car or they're on a motorcycle, lights on. In some cars now, you don't put a key in the ignition, but if you're behind the wheel, that means you have intent to drive. And that's all an officer needs to say, get out of your car now, lock it up and phone a friend, or you're going to get arrested for OWI, for operating while intoxicated. Or in some states, they still call it DWI, driving while intoxicated. But either way, I think because of the level of his intoxication, based on the fact that the other manager even said that he thought he was very intoxicated, her discretion should have been simple. Either call someone now or I'm going to arrest you for drunk driving. I can't let you leave this parking lot on that motorcycle. That's my opinion. I think it's a lot of people's opinions who we listen to the, on the live shows that we've played that body cam footage. So had he been arrested then and there, or she'd stuck her ground and said, I'm not leaving here till you leave here, not on that motorcycle, but with your wife or a friend, then he wouldn't have gone back to the Cabbage Patch. He wouldn't have been loud and obnoxious, and he wouldn't have gotten a verbal altercation with Hatchet Man, and he'd probably still be alive today. So yes, actions have consequences and non-actions have consequences. So the non-action of this Volusia County Sheriff, in my opinion, contributed to what happened just 25 minutes later at the Cabbage Patch. So while he was at the Cabbage Patch, he continued to be boisterous and loud, which he had been earlier. So the bartender, Dawn, said, you're no longer getting served here tonight. He was mad about that. So I guess he was like, pounding his fist on the bar and just acting out, just being a fool. So sadly, another patron who was sitting just down the bar from him, and I'm going to show you, let me go to that. I'm going to show you. Oh, by the way, I just want to let you all know too, I do like to show you our copyright disclaimer that anything we use, any videos I show or any content I show is fair use. I show it under that copyright law. Any police reports we've gotten them. They're in our possession. They're in Kara's possession. She shared with me any body cam footage and audio. And of course, everything I say is my opinion. Anything Kara says is Kara's opinion. We might not always agree. And if I have a guest on, it's their opinion, and they might not always agree. Hi, Sandy. Welcome. It's so good to have you again. I was just going over just the gist of of what we've been covering in our other live shows tonight. Catching everybody up a little bit, waiting for Kara. She's still working. And so just again, it's my opinion, and I am allowed to have an opinion because this is America. So I am not accusing anybody of anything, but I am saying, in my opinion, they should be a person of interest, or that the evidence points to them strongly being involved in any unaliving that I speak of on this show. So thank you. I just wanted to let you all know that. And then Justice for Jason Veach is a hashtag that we're using on all of our social media. So if you could please share that when you are on social media, that would be really great. Again, this is Jason and Kara, happier times. And we're so sorry for your loss, Sandy, and your whole family. So the Cabbage Patch, like I was saying, is a biker bar in Volusia County. It's heavily populated. It's been around since the 1950s, and it's all colors of the different biker clubs go there. And again, I don't have anything against bikers or biker bars. Everybody has hobbies, and as long as they're not breaking the law or causing, wreaking havoc and causing fights or getting, having violent activities going on, I have no problem with it. Are there some violent places where bikers go? Yes, there are. I mean, that's just proven fact. So hi, Miss Sunshine, welcome. So yes, we know that. So when I speak of it, I'm not being, prejudiced towards bikers by any means, but there is a fraction of bikers who we know are violent, and they have names that we don't need to mention because you've all heard of them before. Movies have been made about them, but that's not what normally happens here. This is normally a pretty, decent bar where it's been open since 1952. So had they had a lot of violent issues, they probably wouldn't be open. So I don't feel that it was a dangerous place where Jason went. I think it turned dangerous because he was drinking and decided to be loud and boisterous. Other people were drinking, and bar fights can happen in any bar, even any establishment that's not even associated with bikers or associated with, any type of people who they feel maybe are more likely to get in squabbles with each other. They can happen anywhere. Alcohol is the prime reason why we have bar fights in the first place, because it causes people to have aggression. And that's a proven fact about alcohol. So if you're a person who finds that you're aggressive when you drink, you probably shouldn't drink very much, right? So I went on a little recon mission last night, and this is the inside of the Cabbage Patch. So it's much smaller than I thought. I have driven by there because I've lived in Volusia County since 2009, with the exception of going out to LA for grad school for a year and then being back in Madison for a time. But I've lived a lot of my space since 2009 down here in Volusia County, driven by there many times. It's out in the country. It's on a kind of a four-way intersection, and it's much smaller than I thought, which really leads me to feel that now that we're listening to the witness testimony, and we're going to finish as soon as Kara joins us, listening to the rest of it tonight, that people are definitely not telling the truth. And when we do Friday Night Lives, where we're going over the testimony of the Karen Reed trial, we're asking three questions. Did they tell 100% truth? Were they evasive, or did they lie? I feel like the two witnesses that we listened to already last week were definitely possibly told a lie and were evasive, because again, this bar is not that big, and there's no way this type of Jason, being a loud, boisterous person, is going to not draw attention in this small of a bar. You've got a bar that, really is just not a very big space. So back to this one again. So this is the door. The door is back in that right-hand corner, where you can see kind of the video gambling machines. The door is immediately to the right. Jason was if you drew a straight line from the corner of the bar to where that door is, that's approximately where he was sitting. The hatchet man and his friends were sitting on this corner right here where those two gentlemen are sitting. And this is a gentleman playing music when I was there last night. And then there's the table there where those other gentlemen are seated, which is very close to the door. I mean, when you come in, it's very tight. And then in the background is another area where people can sit. I'll show you that in a second. So Jason would have been basically seated right where this center circle is. That is a man at the bar. And so that is where he would have been seated. The other gentleman would have been in the foreground, basically on that corner, like I said. Now, this is the mark that I saw on the bar, that when we listen to the audio tonight, the detective's going to tell you that there was the butt of the hatchet was struck the bar by Hatchet Man because he was pissed, and he was basically, that was his warning to Jason. Stop being obnoxious. Stop causing a scene in this bar. This is my bar. I hang out here, and I'm swinging that hatchet down, and it's going to land right there. So if you look at the difference, because honestly, when I first learned of Kara and what happened, I'm like, okay, what is the difference between a hatchet and an axe? I'm not an outdoor woodsy girl like that. So the hatchet is on the left, and the axe. So the axe has a longer handle, and it has a different kind of blade. So supposedly, according to witnesses and the detective, he took the handle and slammed the butt end, which is, not the bladed end, but the butt end on the right. And this is the mark that was left on the bar. I witnessed this last night, and that's there, and it's not going anywhere unless they ever replace the bar. So Jason would have been to the left of this mark. The Hatchet Man would have been sitting to the right of this mark. But remember, they were yelling back and forth at each other. They were in a verbal, shut up, quit causing problems. Jason, whatever he's saying. I guess one of the things we heard last week is he was talking a little bit about politics and that he was a big bad Republican, which is neither here nor there. To me, doesn't matter. And so Hatchet Man left the bar and went to his car and brought this hatchet back in. And what I've been saying all along is that then there is no longer any right for him to use stand your ground in Jason's demise, because you have left. You are no longer afraid of this person. You are at your car. All you have to do, sir, is get in your car and drive yourself home. You are no longer in danger. Jason did. Now, if he followed you to your car and was screaming and yelling at you and you didn't know if he had a weapon or not, that's a whole different story. Then you do have a stand your ground out in that parking lot, right? If Jason's still the aggressor. But Jason was no longer the aggressor. The minute you left the bar, you went to your car, you brought a hatchet back into a bar, which is a weapon. If it's being used as a weapon inappropriately, it's not being used to chop down wood in the bar. It was a weapon. He turned it into a weapon. He did that. No one else. That's on him. His lack of self-control, his anger forced him to turn a hatchet that he had in his car into a weapon. The minute he raised it over his head, it's a weapon. He slammed it on the bar. Now, at this point is where I believe that Jason got up because he was like, what the hell, right? I mean, anybody's going to, and then lunged at Hatchet Man to try to disarm him. And from what the witnesses tell us, and we'll hear more tonight, the hatchet fell to the floor and some woman grabbed it and put it behind the bar while they were tussling now on the floor. They're in now they're fighting. Okay. Now they're on the ground in a ground fight. And, Florida Stand Your Ground law, I'm just going to take off my glasses so I can read this to you. Florida Stand Your Ground law allows a person to use deadly force in self-defense if they are lawfully present and perceive an imminent threat. They are not engaged in criminal activity. They are in a place where they have a right to be. They reasonably believe it is necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm to themselves or another. They reasonably believe it is necessary to prevent the commission of a forcible felony. Now, I'm sorry, but verbal altercation, no weapons being brandished. Just Jason didn't say I have a weapon or I'm going to get my gun out or I'm going to go to my car and get my hatchet or my gun. He never said any of that. He was shouting about being a big bad Republican and probably who knows stuff about Trump, whatever. I mean, he was just being a jerk. He was being a drunk guy, right? So Yes. Okay, Sandy, absolutely. Sandy, Jason's mom says, I never realized how small this bar was. I have no question that the people who were there that night all heard and seen everything that happened. Absolutely. I always thought it was odd because I passed it many times. I knew it wasn't that big. It looks like a house. I mean, the door, it looks like you're walking into someone's house. So I knew it couldn't be that big, but I really wasn't sure. So doing that site visit last night was really helpful to me, and it was huge to me. And so thank you, Sandy, for saying that. So again, let's go over the parameters of this, right? So they are not engaged in criminal activity. Okay, neither one of them were engaged in criminal activity. They're shouting. It's a verbal altercation in a bar. They're in a place where they have a right to be. Yes, both of them had a right to be there. They reasonably believe it is necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm to themselves or another. Absolutely no. If I'm a police officer, that is an absolute no. So I am like, he did not. They were yelling. Jason was shouting about politics. He never said, I have a gun, I have a knife, I'm going to my car to get my hatchet. None of that. So right there, that strikes the Florida Stand Your Ground law from any type of lawyer being able to use that. If Hatchet Man or the men who held him down had been arrested, which they were not, they couldn't use Florida Stand Your Ground law. And then this one, they reasonably believe it's necessary to prevent the commission of a forcible felony. Absolutely no. So you strike those two, you have no Florida Stand Your Ground law. I tried to argue this when we were at the sheriff's department, that there's no way you can use that in this case, because there was no weapons being brandished by Jason. There was no threat of, I mean, most of the time you are not going to pass away in a bar fight where you're fighting. And there was no bar fight. There was no bar fight until he went to get the hatchet. There was a verbal altercation. They were being loud and obnoxious back and forth at that point to each other. So that is why I'm not happy about this case, because when Madison Audits was with us last week, he is a retired police officer from South Daytona, and he agreed with everything that we had to say. And there's no Florida Stand Your Ground law in this case. Somebody passed away. That at the very minimum is manslaughter, because they held him down. They weren't letting him up. Three men who were, two of them were equal in size to Jason. One of them wasn't, but he wasn't small. And Hatchet Man was never involved in that part, because they jumped on Jason to get him off Hatchet Man after Jason went to get the hatchet out of his hand. And then those two started fighting. They all went to restrain Jason. Why aren't you restraining the guy that had the hatchet? Right, people? Why aren't three of you grabbing Jason and three of you grabbing Hatchet Man? Because supposedly there were 5 to 6 involved in this restraining situation. There's different accounts at different times. Kara and I have pretty much decided there were 5. So why in the world, if you're there to stop this bar fight and make it so no one gets hurt, why aren't you restraining both of them? Why aren't you restraining the guy that brought the hatchet in? Why are you letting him leave the scene? Why did he leave the scene? Right? He did not wait for EMS. He knew the police were coming. He knew Dawn, the bartender, called the police. That is all suspect, and he should have been in trouble right from the get-go for leaving the scene of that bar fight when he participated in it and brought a hatchet into the bar. These are all things that are unbelievable to me and egregious. So I think Kara is here. We'll give her a minute to get situated. I see her down in my green room. Yes, Miss Sunshine, welcome back. I agree with you, but this was a local yokel bar where everyone has some familiarity with each other, and also don't get involved mentality. Well, sure. Of course, we're going to hear some of the witnesses tonight. There was a person sitting at the bar watching a football game who said, no big deal. 2 guys yelling at each other happens all the time in here, happens at bars of this nature, right? The guys playing pool, no big deal. We've seen that before, been here, done that. No, we don't care. They're just yelling at each other. It wasn't enough to upset anybody. It wasn't enough to get anybody to say, I better get the heck out of here because there's about to be something bad going down with weapons. Nobody thought that, right? Until Hatchet Man left the bar and came back in with the hatchet. That's when everything turned. And that's when these men got involved. But again, like I'm saying, they're involved now, Miss Sunshine. They decided to involve themselves. But why is it only Jason they're holding down? Why aren't they holding back Hatchet Man? Why aren't they restraining him until the police get there so he can be questioned? He was allowed to walk out the door, get in his car and leave, which he should have done in the first place, right? So that is where my frustration comes in, and I call BS and borderline moving this show to Thursday nights, because I feel that we are dealing with a level of corruption now, because now that I've seen the bar and how small it is, and we know and now we're hearing these witnesses, we're hearing how the interviews went down. Now is it corruption like we have in Philadelphia with Ellen Greenberg? No, it's not that level, but it's definitely inappropriate. It's definitely not police protocol how these interviews were handled. So it's just not everything. Everything is wrong with this particular case, which is a real person's life, Jason Veach, and a real person, Kara Veach, his wife, and they are no longer together because this happened to Jason, and it shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. And now all that Kara's left with is to get justice, right? Because once someone is unalived, we cannot bring them back. We can't make it all go away, but now we can get justice for all of the victims that we're standing for here at Social Change Warriors, because that is why we are here on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. So Kara is getting situated. So I'm going to bring up I'm going to see if she wants to say something about the photos, though. So I'm going to give her a minute to finish getting situated, and let me go back to the photos. Excuse me, at the bar. I'm going to take a little drink. The allergies here in Florida this time of year are wicked. We've got little dots of allergy on our cars this time of year, and all of our leaf droppers are sprouting their leaves. It's technically almost March 1st is spring in Florida, and I am a little bit allergic to it. So, I'm going to, as soon as I see her give me the go, I'll bring her up to the platform, because I think she does want to say something about these photos. So again, in good conscience, I circled out the faces of those that were there last night. I asked a few of them to turn their backs to me. Everybody was quite polite, actually. I did ask the bartender how long she'd worked there, and she said 17 years. And I asked her if she'd ever heard of or knew of Jason, and she said no. She may not have known him, so maybe I should have separated that question, because then I can't accuse her of lying, because she may not have known him. But I don't buy it that anybody who's worked there 17 years does not know that a person passed away in that bar. So unless people are passing away there on the regular, anybody who's a regular there, everybody who works there, because there can't be a huge staff. This is a small bar, so the staff can't be that huge. I know that Dawn, that the person that was there the night that this happened, only works on Sundays. So they obviously have staff that work the other days of the week. But again, it's not a big bar. So everyone knows about this, right? That's common sense. Everyone knows that somebody passed away there, and that it's controversial. There's no doubt about it in my mind. So it looks like Kara, she's not seated yet. So I'm going to give her another minute. So, oh my goodness, that's my new puppy. If you guys would like to see him, he's coming in to tell me that he's not happy that I am not paying attention to him. I hear you. What is going on? Come here. Well, come here. Well, come here. Come here. Come here. Come on up and say hi. Kara got to hold him yesterday. I brought him with actually. So, okay, I'll tell you a side story that has nothing to do with anything but service animals. So, this is my buddy. This is Tanner D, Touchdown Tanner. And he is 12 weeks old, and he's going to be going to Good Citizen puppy training soon. And he will be an ESA, an emotional support animal. And then hopefully down the road, even possibly a service animal. He is super helpful to me with my severe anxiety attacks that I get from my history, which is a long story, but he's the best. And I've had an ESA since I hurt my neck in the line of duty, and they're super helpful to me with my stress and anxiety that I have to deal with. And he's going to be in training soon. So he is a great, great little buddy. So I've been taking him everywhere I go to get him used to being in crowds and around noise and people. And he did fantastic. Can you imagine me? I had my Packer hat on, walking into a biker bar with this dog. The looks I got were hysterical. And the minute I walked in, I walked right up to the bar, just to the left of where these gentlemen are seated. And the bartender waved her finger at me and said, no, you can't have that dog in here. And I went, oh, yes, I can. And I showed her, I said, if you want me to, I'll pull up my letter on my phone from my doctor, but I don't really feel the necessary that I have to do that because technically they can't make you do that. And she said, well, this happens all the time in here. People try to bring their dogs in here and they're not really ADA and they're not. I said, well, but you can't put it on me that you have other people lying to you, because I'm not lying to you. And I'm trying to acclimate him to noise and being in crowded spaces. So she gave me grief about it. And then a little while later, a biker came in with his emotional support animal / possibly service dog. I wasn't sure what she was. And she didn't say a word. So I didn't say anything. I just kind of smiled at her. And then before I left, I said, now that's probably for sure a service animal, right? Because you didn't ask him about it. And then I said, oh, he's probably a regular. So I wasn't like rude or mean to her or anything like that. I get that she has a job to do and that people do try to sneak in, dogs all the time. But he did really great. He was patient. He did not bark, not once. He's just a really great dog. So I really feel lucky. So Sandy, Jason's mom, says, I agree, Miss Sunshine, and Jason wasn't a regular or part of the good old boys. For sure, right? We know that. Kara has made that clear that Jason was not a regular of the Cabbage Patch. It wasn't his home watering hole. So they're not necessarily going to stand for him, right? Where the other gentleman, Hatchet Man, he was somewhat of a regular there from what we've been told. And we do know for sure that Michael, the gentleman who helped hold Jason down, who also left the scene, by the way, he is a regular there. So I understand where you guys are coming from with the whole protect your own, protect the regulars. And the fact that Jason was the instigator of the verbal, taunting made that all extra bad. But again, from my standpoint as an outsider and as a former law enforcement officer, when one person leaves to get a hatchet and comes back in with a hatchet, that all goes out the window to me. That regardless of if this is your friend or not, then you should be trying to grab him and get him away from Jason, not just Jason away from him. If you guys see my point on that. So I'm still waiting for Kara to come to the stage. So I'm going to grab an audio and let's start with one of the audios. We can come back to these photos. So it'll just take me a second, everyone, to go down here into the technical area and share my screen with all of you where I can play these interviews. So just to recap, last week we played the interview of the owner of Sorry Charlie's, which was the other bar that Jason was hanging out at. That's the one where he should have been arrested for drunk driving and was not. I'm going to, we'll recap that towards the end again. If you do want to listen to it again, we can, but we felt that Madison Audits, myself and Kara all felt that the interview was unprofessional. The detective basically said things about Jason that were personal, that had to do with his autopsy. You'd never, ever share that with someone that you're interviewing that was a witness, because he was a witness. He was in the Cabbage Patch when this happened, the owner of Sorry Charlie's. So not only was Jason there first at the Cabbage Patch first, and then went to Sorry Charlie's and then came back to the Cabbage Patch, the owner of Sorry Charlie's was at the Cabbage Patch. So he was a witness, and should never have been given the information that the detective gave him. Now, there are times when you're going to conduct an interview and you're going to be conversational to make people feel comfortable, but you still can't give up information that could compromise your investigation or that is personal and private to the victim or the victim's family. So I don't know that we have any particular order that Kara wanted to go in. So I know that we also listened to Dawn Hill. And I know some of these are just, I don't know which one she wants me to start with. So I'm just going to pick one and we'll listen to it and dissect it and see if it's anything we have to be concerned about. And then once she comes on the platform, I can ask her if there's any order she wants me to go in. So let me choose this one first. Okay. You guys can see that. And I want to make sure you can see it okay. And then let me know you can hear it, because sometimes I can hear it, but you might not be able to. So let me know you can hear it.
All right, sir. What is your name?
Herman Whitley,
How do you spell that?
Herman.
So this is Herman Whitley
Whitley,
that is being interviewed.
Whitley.
And can you guys hear that okay? Just type
And what's
okay
your
in the
date of
chat
birth,
box
sir?
for me. I'm hearing
November
it, so
14, 1954.
Okay.
I'm going to take notes.
Good phone number for you?
678 763 5644.
Alrighty. And where do you live?
4226 Quill Nest Lane. That's 3 words. New Smyrna Beach address.
Okay. And how long have you lived there?
November of 21.
Okay.
That's when I purchased the property.
Okay. And before that, were you local here in Volusia on this
No,
side?
I was living in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Gotcha. Okay. For the week? Okay. Any specific days or just?
Yeah, to be honest, Wednesdays normally, occasionally Thursdays, Fridays and Saturdays, and occasionally Sundays.
Okay.
I drew the short straw today.
Okay. About what time did you get here today?
I didn't really check, but I would anticipate it about 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock? Okay. 8 p.m., right?
Yeah,
Okay.
approximately.
Okay. And how'd you get here? You
I
drive?
drove.
Okay. Which vehicle is yours?
It's a red Bronco.
Okay. Do you come with anybody or you come by yourself?
No,
When you got here, who all was at the bar? Do you know like all the people at the bar? Are you friendly with most of them, or do you kind of hang out by yourself?
I've seen him. I'm not familiar with him by name.
Okay.
Like this gentleman here, I see quite often.
Okay.
Although he came in well after I did.
Okay.
Don was the bartender tonight.
Okay. What can you tell me about the incident in there, the fight?
I didn't see. To be honest with you, I didn't see the fight. I came in as the officer had the gentleman. Again, I don't know who that was. Had him handcuffed.
Okay.
Was on his side.
So prior to that, were you outside? Do you normally hang out?
No, I had just come in.
You had just come in. Okay. So that was when you just got here, is when all this was already happening? Okay. So prior to that, you weren't here, you didn't see.
Yeah, I didn't see any of the events, I guess, that the gentleman supposedly caused.
Okay. Was the deputy already showing, like, did he show up after you or before you, or?
No, he was here.
He was already here.
Like I said, he had him handcuffed, had him on his side.
Okay.
And then him and another gentleman, I don't know if it's a police officer or not, I really wasn't paying that much attention, was rolling him onto his back.
Okay.
And that's kind of when they realized that there was a problem with the individual.
Okay. So did you even get a drink or anything yet, or no?
I did get one beer.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, that's kind of good timing, I guess, or however you want to look at it.
Yeah, just before we were pushed out here.
Okay. So, when you were coming up, did you see anybody leaving the bar or fleeing or screaming and yelling or any kind of commotion like that? Anything out of the ordinary?
I approached from Pioneer, came here, took a right-hand turn, and parked over there.
You didn't see anybody running out the door or anything crazy, or?
I didn't see any kind of excitement other than people just watching what was going on with the officer and the gentleman.
Okay. Your beer, did you pay for that outright, or did you open up the tab?
Open up the tab.
Okay. And how do you normally pay your tabs? Cash or card? Card. Okay. So they have your card on file or whatever?
No, as a regular, they just know who
they
I
know
am.
Who you
they got
are,
my name plugged into the
I got you.
POS.
Okay. The gentleman that's on the floor, did you get a look at him, or did you see who it was, or is that anybody that you recognize?
Yeah, nobody that I know. I did take a look at him, but
Of course you did.
Not a regular, not somebody you've seen here.
I can't say.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen him here that often.
That often.
The only reason I got it close to him is I was going to give him a hand doing CPR if they needed it.
Okay. Do you recall anybody that was there when you got here that is no longer here now?
No.
Anybody that stands out to you? No. Okay.
I didn't see anybody try to get out the doors or anything like that.
Okay.
Like I said, at the time I got here, everybody was basically standing around.
The incident was already pretty much over. You didn't pick up anything inside there, any type of weapons or anything that's fallen on the floor, wallets, credit cards, anything like that?
Yeah,
Nothing
the
like
only
that.
thing I touched was stuff I brought.
Your koozie, your beer. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you can think of? I mean, I know your involvement's very, very limited. So, anything else you can think of that I didn't ask you, or even, that would pertain to this investigation?
The only thing I didn't see anybody tried to hide any objects or anything like that. Like I said, everybody was basically just kind of standing around,
Right.
observing what was happening.
I know this place isn't known for that, but there's no, when you come here, in your regular thing, you don't see people, other than drinking, you don't see people smoking up at the bar or snorting anything off the bar or anything like that. No. Okay. So it's alcohol, it's local, but it's not, there's nothing crazy like that going on behind closed doors, as you know.
No, in fact, if I saw something like that going on, I probably would report it.
Okay.
I don't
No
tolerate
mess with
that.
that. Okay. Alrighty. Sir, you swear everything you told me today is true and correct, best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Sorry, I could be a more help.
No.
Okay, so there was that was a witness who wasn't really a witness. He was only a witness to Jason being on the floor and having been handcuffed. It doesn't sound like EMS had arrived yet. So he arrived literally right after it happened, is what it sounds like, within 5 minutes.
Right. It's he saw cops there, so he stopped to be nosy.
Yeah, very right, very possible. And it sounds like he's a regular, so he might have been going there anyway. He might have been planning to go there anyway, right?
I mean, I don't know. It sounds like to me that he saw the cops there and wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah, very, very possible. Or he was just going there because that's where he sounds like he goes there a lot. So I think he listed quite a few nights. So, and then Sandy says Jason handcuffed, not breathing, but they're letting people walk up to the crime scene and observe.
And serving them beer. I think that's crazy. Oh yeah, she was still serving me while they were giving him CPR. That's crazy to me.
Yes, I wrote that down, Sandy, here in my notes. Why in the world during a severe incident like that are you still waiting on people? Everybody should have been, again, she's the only one in the bar. If there would have been another bartender there, that person could have said, I need everybody outside immediately. The minute you've got something going on the ground like that, everybody needs to go outside. If you're running that bar, you're not waiting on people. You're not serving alcohol. You're clearing the place. You're clearing the bar. Unbelievable. I again, that is just so strange and just not normal whatsoever. Crazy. So, how was your day?
Busy. I got my ass handed to me all day long. It was busy, busy, busy.
Oh my gosh.
Very
Well,
busy.
Thanks for still meeting tonight so that we can finish up the audio and be kind of caught up to where we need to be for the next steps that have to take place for you and for Jason for justice. So, all right, let me go grab another interview here.
Really, the most important one is Jay Keeney's. I mean,
Yes.
that's Hatchet Man.
Yeah, but do we have it?
Yeah, we don't have the other guy. We don't have Michael Beery or the two guys that held him down. The other two guys. We're missing Michael Beery, Steve Clements, and Tori Tunison. But we have Jay Keeney.
Okay, good. Let me go back to it then real quickly here, and you can kind of show me where that is. Let me put, whoops, that's not what I want. I want that. There we go. Okay, let me go back into my little tech area here. So what I've got here is Wayne Parrish, S. Jackson, Brian Martin. It doesn't look like I have him. If you remember last week, I think they sent that one to you. I have photos of Keeney's injuries, but I think we had Keeney listed as not having.
It's right. No, I had scroll back up.
Okay, maybe I missed it. Those are all supplement reports.
Go all the way up.
I must have missed it. I don't see it. See, these were the original ones you got that your sister sent to me. I think you might have gotten Keeney. Remember when I called there and talked to records, and they said they were still working on clearing those 3?
I got them all at the same time. That's why I don't, all except for Brian Martin.
Let me go back to my notes from last week. I thought for sure Keeney's wasn't in these original, because this is all I have from your sister.
Right. Yeah.
Let me go back to, because I wrote notes about who we were missing. I wrote missing audio for the 3 who held him down. Michael Beery, Steve Clements, and Tori Tunison. Are we still missing the audio for those 3?
Yep.
And that was over a week ago now that I called and talked to records, right? What could be taking them so long? Because the records lady told me that they have to go through them.
Supervisor.
They're waiting on a supervisor, sometimes they have to redact some things as well. But I don't know what they would have to redact from those 3 guys. So I don't know what the issue is with that. But I don't see it here. I just see photos of.
It's all right. I just sent it to you in a text message. I don't know how long it would take you, but you could do Brian Martin, because even though you said Brian Martin wasn't involved, Brian Martin actually was involved. He's 350 plus pounds, and he weighs way more than Jason. And he actually stood over Jason with his hands on his back and put weight on. He can't say he didn't put weight on his back, and told everybody to not let him up. And his testimony or his interview is crucial, because he actually, in fact, states, while he's, in my opinion, talking shit, he does say things that are, Jason wasn't talking to Jay Keeney. Jason was talking to the bartender. He hadn't said anything to Jay Keeney until Jay Keeney went and got his hatchet and was running his mouth. So, and Brian Martin says that in his interview.
Okay.
So
well,
I would put Brian Martin
on, and I'll try to work on getting this into my. I'm going to try to see if I can play it. I may have to have your sister send that to me, like she sent me the other ones, in order to get it on my Google Drive.
Right.
I'm going to work on it while we're playing this interview. So I'll see if we can get it. So we're going to go to Brian Martin. Let me know that you guys can hear it. It's not playing yet. Hang on a sec. There we go.
I'm Dave, by the way.
Dave, I'm Brian.
Brian, nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Let's get comfy for a second. Appreciate you giving us the time of day here.
No problem.
All right. Brian, how do you spell your last name, sir?
Martin, Martin.
Brian with a
I, yes, sir.
middle initial.
S.
Date of birth, please.
11265.
And a phone number.
386-690-9998.
All right. So obviously, you know why we're all here.
Yes, sir.
How long were you here today?
A couple hours playing pool. Just came out, have a few drinks. Was going to go get something to eat.
Gotcha.
Should have left 10 minutes early.
Of course. What time do you think you got here? So
I swear to God, I couldn't tell you. I really, you know what? I can look at.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing I can tell you. I mean, I have no idea, because I was just.
I'm going to dive into some specifics with this conversation
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
I'm going to need to just to kind of help paint a picture of what we're trying to do.
Go ahead. Okay, a buddy of mine called me at 6:57, and I walked outside to talk on the phone. That was before.
You were here then?
Yes, sir.
So at least, let's see.
Yeah, so that was shortly before it all happened.
How long had you been here before then, if you had to guess?
Maybe an hour and a half, maybe an hour. I'm just kind of looking at,
All right, so we'll
phone
say
conversation because I talked to my daughter at like 3, and I was at the house, I think I was getting ready to leave to come out here. So I'm
somewhere between
ballparking you, dude.
4 and 5:30. Is that
I'd
safe
say.
to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, 4 and 5:30. All right. Did you come by yourself initially?
Yes.
You did. Okay. Which one of these vehicles is yours?
Black pickup right there. The F-250.
Nice truck.
Thank you.
Did are you a regular?
Yes.
Okay. The gentleman, the guy who's dead inside. Do you know him?
No.
You've never seen him before?
No.
Okay. You were here for the incident, though?
Yes.
Where were you sitting inside?
I was playing pool.
You were at the pool table?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with all kind of congregate right there. Bam. It was just all of a sudden it's like, what the fuck?
Who was around you?
We were all playing pool. Me and the two kids over there, Lauren and Steve.
With Lauren and Steve. So how were you alerted to what the hell was happening?
He kept smacking the bar and just being obnoxious with the bartender.
Okay.
And everybody's just like, okay, maybe he'll go away. And then she told him a couple of times, I've called the law. You need to leave. You're making a disruption. And then, we're just all standing there. I said, don't even look at him. I said, he's fucked up.
Right.
I said, he obviously wants to try to make an issue with anybody that'll give him I said, don't look at him. Yeah, he just wanted to. He wanted that to happen. You could tell he wanted to bat.
Was he here before you got here?
Well, from what I understand, he was. I mean, he was being obnoxious. Because when I first got here, there was a group of people here, a group of bikers.
Yeah.
And there was a guy in there that I know. And that guy was a part of that group. But I didn't know him. But he just kept screaming and yelling. He was just, I just thought, okay, he's a drunk biker.
Yeah.
Whatever, it's not like it's the first time that ever happened to him.
You're right.
So I just, I said, and I just kept telling the kids, I said, ignore him. I said, whatever. I said, that's the kind of guy that eventually goes away. And then a bunch of his friends, took him out. I took him outside. And they all disappeared. And, I don't know, a while later he came back. I mean, I didn't even notice him coming back till all of a sudden he kept smacking the bar and screaming at the little girl behind the bar, the bartender.
So you were here. Were you here? You were here when he was raising hell, or was that all stuff you heard before?
No,
initially?
I was here when he was raising hell.
Before, and then he left or whatever.
Yeah,
and then showed up however long. After.
And I'm not trying to be. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Where's that
No, I get it.
Okay.
I have to understand your perspective of
Yeah.
everything that happened, and that's what we're doing with everybody, which is why it's taking forever. So again, I appreciate your patience. Were you playing pool the whole time?
Yeah.
So
playing pool or darts. We were back and forth. We were just all having fun.
Okay. Did you're hanging out with Lauren and Steve the whole time?
Lauren and Steve.
So Lauren and Steve playing pool and darts back and forth, stayed over there. He showed there was how many, like the group of bikers that were here with him?
The 2 tables over by the bathroom. They were pretty much all around that. So, at least, I don't know, 10 or so at least.
Okay.
Women and men. No, I mean, nothing.
Yeah. I mean,
nothing like it was and it wasn't like, it wasn't badass bikers. It was fucking.
Yeah.
Sam Zula bikers. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was nobody there that I was like,
crew.
oh God, we got to go,
Okay.
It was just, there's always somebody loud, that.
There is. Well, there is, but it rarely escalates to what we're dealing with now. Okay, so guy was here with, we'll say, 10 Sam Zula bikers. You could tell he was
Yes.
You could tell he was drunk and belligerent from the get-go. Yeah. Okay. Drunk from the get-go. They, at some point, they end up getting him outside and leaving. They went on their way.
Yeah.
So how long, do you have any clue what the time difference was when they left to when you saw him slamming the bar?
Honest to God, but I have no idea because just all of a sudden we were playing and having fun and goofing off, and just all of a sudden I heard this crack, and I was like, "What the fuck was that?"
Mm-hmm.
And it was him, and I said, "Oh shit!" I said, "The dead mess is back here now."
Okay.
And that was kind of, okay, whatever. And then he started yelling at the girl, and she said, "I'm calling the police. You're being belligerent." She goes, "I'm calling the police."
What was he yelling to her?
Just, "Oh, you're a bitch. She wouldn't serve him anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what my impression. I don't know. I didn't hear her say that.
Gotcha.
That was my impression. And I just thought, okay, so he's drunk. Come back's drunk. And then, and then now he wants to be more. I was just like,
All right.
So then, that other old man that was in there, and this was an old man. I mean, old. I mean, like frail old.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who he was, but he said, "You need to calm down and get out of here." And the guy started screaming at him, and we kept playing pool, and it kind of mellowed. And then all of a sudden, there's like, just literally, there's a scuffle, and he's to the ground with that old man. He kind of attacked the old man.
Okay, so he attacked the old man. Did I assume? Please correct me if I'm wrong. That's when everybody else jumped in on the behalf of
trying to
the old
hold
man.
him down to keep him from hurting anybody.
Absolutely, and we get that. We completely understand.
Yeah, I mean,
that.
we're all men here. We're not trying to.
Right.
I just.
So, you saw him arguing with the older man?
Yeah.
Did you see him?
I didn't see him argue. I just saw him attacking.
Like physically
go at him and
Not what you said at first.
To the ground.
So did he punch him or did he just bear hug, tackle?
Just tackle.
So he tackled the old man.
And again, I didn't even see that as I just see him on top of him on the ground.
Okay.
Literally, pool tables here.
Yeah.
All of us, they're all sitting here, right there, right at almost at our feet.
Gotcha. And at your feet was him with the older guy.
Yeah.
Did you hop in with the group?
I just stood there because the boys were holding his arms.
Yeah.
I said, just don't let him up. I had my hand on him. I said, don't let him up.
You had your hand on. Okay. Which is fine.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get you in.
I know listen, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not
completely,
worried.
Completely understand. If we thought you did something
did.
wrong, we'd be reading your rights and all. This is just because you're a witness to. He brought this on himself. It would appear.
You don't get to tell.
Honestly,
you don't get to tell a witness that, detective.
I'm 58 years old. I've been around the block.
Yeah.
I think he was cranked up on something.
Did you see anything? Did you see any sort of them snorting shit in the
No,
corner?
no. I didn't. I'll be honest about that too. I didn't see any of that.
Okay.
But nobody gets that.
Enraged.
Enraged when there was no back and forth.
Yeah, there's nothing.
You don't
to
get
antagonize
enraged. Yeah,
him to
there
that
was
point.
nobody. Everybody was just like, oh God,
How did you miss him going out to his car and bringing a hatchet back in, sir?
All right.
He did it.
I'm a pretty big guy, so I know if I start fucking saying anything,
Yeah,
I'm battling this big son of a bitch.
it's happening.
That ain't happening. I'm too old for that shit. I gave that up a long time ago.
Me too, man.
Walk away.
Me too.
Walk away.
All right. So who is the old guy? Is he a
really
regular
don't
here?
know. I've seen him, but I couldn't tell you his name for the life of me.
Is he still here?
No.
Okay. Did we talk to him?
I
Or did
don't
he
think
leave?
So I think he left.
Okay. And you don't know first name, last name, anything?
Not at all.
Okay. Car he drives, anything?
Nothing. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So you're playing pool. He's banging on the bar. Older guy steps in to try and dude, chill out, get the hell out of here. You need to go. He turns his attention towards the old guy, pounces on him right at your feet.
I'm just going to stop it for a second because I just want to share a couple things. So first of all, this man calls Hatchet Man frail, very frail and old.
Yeah.
He also says that Jason attacked him, which wasn't true. Only reason Jason attacked him was because he had a hatchet, which if you're, let's while we're dissecting this, because I don't want to play the full interview without doing some comment, because then it's hard to remember and go back, right? So let's go back. Oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. Let's go back. I want to show you again. I was just there. The pool table is maybe 5 feet from where Jason would have tackled Hatchet Man, and they would have fallen to the floor. So here again, this is where these two gentlemen are sitting on the right. That's where Hatchet Man would have been sitting. But when he left to get the hatchet, what I'm not quite sure of yet is there are two doors. So if you see all those lights off to the right in the photo, there's a door right there. That's considered the front door of the establishment. There's a side door to the left of that dart machine, a little bit back and to the left. That goes out to the backyard where all the patio stuff is and where they have the tent set up for Bike Week, which they do right now. And they would have then too, because it was Bike Oktoberfest. So the pool table is literally, hang on, did I include that one? I didn't put up the picture of the pool table. Oh, darn it all. But the pool table, I'll add that, guys, for next week. But the pool table is literally just on the other side of the dartboard. Because there's the musician, the pool table's just by the back, it's by that back door. So I'm not clear yet, and maybe Kara can tell me, I'm not clear what door he went out to go get the hatchet out of his car. Did he come in that front door and walk straight towards the bar and slam it down? Or did he come in that side door, walk past where there might have been a musician on a Sunday night? We don't know. But either way, you can see it's not a lot of space that he had to cover to come in either that front door or the side door with the hatchet. If he came in that side door, he would have walked right by the pool table. If he came in this door over here, I could see maybe if they were playing pool and he wasn't like yelling or shouting when he came in, but you're going to tell me when he slammed that hatchet down on the bar that didn't make noise, and that they didn't see that, and that they didn't see the hatchet fall to the ground. They were wrestling, like he said, right in front of them. So they must have come back forward towards where the musician is. And that's where I'm assuming they were laying on the ground. I don't see how he's playing pool just to the left of that dartboard and he does not see a hatchet, because then he basically says, first he says, I saw him rush him and take him to the ground. Then he says, well, actually, I only saw him on the ground. So he completely backs that out. And he doesn't say anything about that Mr. Hatchet Man leaving and coming back in with the hatchet. He never saw any of that, but yet he's playing pool just right there. So that's all suspect to me. Kara?
So I think Brian Martin's a liar, but I think they're all liars. So
I know you do.
I think that the only reason why he wouldn't have seen, I think that Teeny Hatchet Man walked by the pool table. And I say that because I don't know where Tori was in all of this. I was under the impression that Tori was playing pool with Steve. I don't know where he was, but Tori, wherever he was, saw him walk straight in the bar, walk right up to Jason and sling the hatchet at him. So I don't know.
Well, once we get that audio, that may help clear it up. If he came in, we had to park across the street. So I came in the front door. I didn't know there was a side door because you can't see the side door from the street. The side door is kind of in a little crook almost of the building. So when you approach the bar from the parking lot across the street, all you see is the entrance to the backyard area where all the tents and such are. And you can't park back there during bike week because they have tents up. So my guess is that the hatchet man was parked across the street. So my thought was that when he went to get the hatchet, he came in that front door, which would have meant that he just came right across and just walked straight across and slammed it where you see kind of that checkered, red and black checkered piece of clothing there on the right side. That's right where he would have walked up and slammed it, which would have been to the right of where Jason was seated. Because Jason, again, remember, he was basically that middle circle chair. And then the mark on the bar would have been to Jason's right. So if Hatchet Man would have come in that front door, he would have just come straight up and just said, "I'm sick of your shit," or whatever he would have said, and then slammed the butt of the hatchet down on the bar. And that's where Jason would have gotten up and tackled him. And that's what this gentleman says he saw, was just once they were on the ground. So he may not have seen the hatchet. We don't know for sure, or he may have, and he's lying to protect his friend. We don't know either way right now.
Yeah.
But that's how I see it. And now if he came in that side door, he would have had to have gone around. You have to go around the whole bar. So my thought is that he didn't come in that side door, because why would you go all the way around to come in the side door when you went across the street to your car? Or if you were parked on the street, there's a couple spaces where you can park, but you can't really, actually, no, you can't. There's no parking on the street there, because that's a 2-lane, and that bar's on the corner of a 4-way stop. So, or for sure a 2-way stop. I don't remember if it's a 4-way stop, but I mean, my inclination is that he came in that front door and just walked straight up to the bar and slammed it on the bar and said, "I've had enough of you. You need to shut up, blah, blah, blah." I just don't think he would have come in that side door, but maybe when we get the other guy, that Tory guy's audio interview, we'll learn more from that.
I don't know. I know it was 5 days before Biketoberfest, so I don't know if they had the tents up or not. It was the Sunday before.
5 days before. Well,
yeah, so I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, when I was there last night, it was effectively what night? Wednesday. That was Tuesday night. So it was effectively Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays, like 3 to 4 days before, because bike week doesn't start till Friday. So, and we were there Tuesday, so that they might have already had the tents up. I mean, I don't know. But
the reports state that they had everybody out back, and while you just heard Brian saying, "That's my truck sitting right here." So
okay. So
I don't know though. In reality, I don't have a clue.
Right. We don't know for sure. So then that's true. If the tents weren't set up for bike week yet, for Bike Oktoberfest, which I saw all the, last night, there was no way anyone could park back there because of all the tents. But if they weren't set up yet, then he could have gone out that side door, because he would have got up from where he was seated, which was right there on the corner, and he would have just turned around and gone back towards the left-hand side of the slide and gone out the door there, just past the pool table, and then he would have come back in that way. So, but either way, we know that it is not a big bar. He crossed it. He went he went towards Jason with a hatchet and was threatening him verbally while holding a hatchet. You are no longer the victim, sir. Right. I'm sorry, but you're not.
And that's what Brian Martin says. Jason was giving the bartender a hard time. That's who Jason was talking to. He wasn't speaking to them at all. Not one time. If that was the case, Brian Martin would have said, like Jay Keeney had said, "Oh, well, he was poking that guy in the arm." But Brian Martin never saw that, because Jason wasn't close to them. From what they say, Jason was all the way at the end of the bar, and they were on the corner. That is at least 4 or 5 bar stools apart.
Right. Right. I was seated right by the corner. There were 2 people to my left that were seated in the corner where those 2 would have been seated. And then there were at least 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5 bar stools to my left, and all very close together. Again, this is not a very big space, but yeah, he said that he was being loud and obnoxious and yelling at the bartender because giving her time because she wouldn't serve him. Right.
So he wasn't in fact speaking to Jay Keeney at all. Jay Keeney inserted himself into it. And we know from other witnesses that Jason was at least 2 bar stools for sure away from them, because there was a couple sitting to his right, and they didn't see the people on the corner of the bar. So they must not have been bumping elbows with them. So he was, I'm going to say, at least 3 bar stools away from them.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, I had him as that circle, which would have been 1, 2, 3, or 4. Yeah. So that's kind of approximately where I had him. So that makes total sense. Okay. Well, now we got through all that. I just wanted to make some comments. And then he says that the boys were holding his arms and I put my hand on him.
Yeah. He had his hand.
So he inserted himself in it. And I don't really love the fact that he's telling the officer, I think he was cranked up on something, because you don't know that. You're not a doctor. You're not an alcohol and drug counselor. You don't get to just make statements like that. And as we know from Jason's autopsy, there was no drugs in his system. He was just in a bad mood and had been drinking, and the alcohol can make you angry. And then the detective said he brought this on himself. You don't tell that to witnesses. This is a witness. You still don't know if this person had any possible, if he was holding him down hard enough, maybe he's the reason why Jason couldn't breathe. You don't know that yet. So you don't get to tell a witness that the person who's dead brought it on himself. You just don't ever do that. That is so unprofessional. So I also am a little stunned at how conversational and how, I mean, this guy doesn't sound traumatized to me. He doesn't sound sad that Jason's dead. It's like, oh, you get in a bar fight, you deserve to die. I mean, the other interview too with the owner of Sorry Charlie's, they don't sound disturbed. They don't sound like most witnesses of crimes that I've been around are disturbed and upset and visibly shaken. I mean, this is a person who died in front of you. They don't seem like that to me. I'm a little stunned by that.
Yeah, they didn't. Okay. They don't care. They're not sad about Jason being dead at all.
No, it doesn't sound like it. And I'm so sorry, Sandy, Miss Sunshine, and Sandy and Kara and everyone else who's watching us on the replay. I mean, it's just all of it's just not right. It's just all wrong. Okay, let's go back and finish this one up, and then I'll try to play. I really want to hear Hatchet Man tonight. I'm going to try to play it just on my phone, and if you guys can hear it, okay, but then we'll redo it again next week when we hopefully will then have the rest of these audio interviews that they have not given you yet. So let's hear the end of this.
You say the boys. Who are the boys grabbing his arms and everything?
Whoops, sorry, I must have clicked off of it. There we go. Can you hear it?
Held his arms.
Okay.
Because he was on the ground. I mean, he was already down. Because he was trying to put the old man down. So the boys held his arms. The old man kind of crawled out from under him.
Yeah.
And I said, "Don't let him go, boys." I said, "Don't let him go because of his,
Yeah, right. What was he? Was he one other guy? Was he hurt that you could see?
Yeah, he was bleeding on his head.
Was he? Okay. Anything? If you had to guess, was it serious? Like we need to go try and find this guy, make sure he's not passed out on his walk home or whatever.
No.
Yeah, you do need to go find this guy.
Gotcha.
I mean, Jason was bleeding. Jason was bleeding on his neck. None of them gave a shit about that.
Right.
In my mind, I want to say I don't know anything, but I got nothing.
But you're a liar.
And nobody else does here either. I think the guy was fucked up.
But he wasn't.
And I think,
0 drugs in his system.
I think he just flipped.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
Doesn't actually. You're wrong.
Yeah, you don't agree with the witness when the witness is surmising how something happened.
Most people that are drunk
who isn't qualified to surmise shit.
Yeah.
Jason had 0 drugs in his system, so they're just making shit up.
Could he stand? Like, was he able to like?
Oh yeah,
or was he?
He rode his bike here.
And they didn't serve him after he came back, right?
No.
So as soon as he came back, he wanted to get a drink, and that's when all the shit started.
Yeah.
And then he obviously there was somebody brought out a hatchet. Who
I didn't see it. I really, honestly, I didn't see it.
No, I believe you. All right.
No, we don't.
I have to ask.
No, it's cool.
I major part of this.
And you shouldn't be telling someone you believe them because you don't know if they're lying to you or not. Yes.
They want it over.
You never held it?
No.
Unbelievable. You're a detective. You just don't automatically believe people.
I didn't see a hatchet. I mean, that's what I heard. I heard the bartender talking about it.
Yeah.
I never saw that. Like I said, it was just we were playing pool, so our backs were kind of to the bar, and all of a sudden this big dude's on the top of the old man. I was like, "What the fuck?"
I didn't see this guy. How big is this guy? I keep
He's a
hearing
big dude.
Yeah, I keep hearing big.
You know,
dude.
I mean, I'm a big dude, and he's. I'm
You're-
6 foot. He was probably 6'4". He's tall as you, and you know, he was easy 350 pounds.
Okay.
But he wasn't. 308
So I just
pounds.
kept telling the boys, I said, "Don't let his arms go."
So holding his arms kept him down, or
Yeah.
anybody else have his legs or anything?
No, he was just kicking him, but he was on his face.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he was done.
The fight was out. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just done, and I said, okay. I said, well, let him go. I said,
No, they.
And then I said, no, don't let him go. And then that one deputy with the glasses.
Can you pause this?
And he
Yep.
brought it. I mean, he was still. See, I don't. You know, I mean.
So he's saying that Jason was done, and he told them to let him up, and they said no. Okay, so he's already stopped moving, and they have decided that they're not letting him go, and he's already fighting. That's what they said. He's done.
Yep.
But
And that's in his interview. Exactly. And Sandy says it sounds better for them all if they make it sound like he was high on drugs. Zero drugs in Jason's tax.
Zero
rate.
drugs.
That's right.
Zero drugs
Right.
in his
It,
system.
it does make it sound better for them. Yes, Sandy and Kara, if they basically, this guy wigged out and flipped out on drugs and was violent and we had no choice. We had to protect our regular hatchet man from this big, bad, horrible person. And again, the detective saying, I believe you. You don't say that because as a detective, you don't know who to believe yet. People lie all the time. People lie under oath, for God's sake, when they're in court. They certainly will lie to you in an unseen interview like this if they feel they have to protect people, protect their family or friends. So you don't just say, I agree, or I believe you. You don't say that. Just ridiculous. And like you said, he backed that off a little bit and said we should let him up. But the fact that he visibly saw that there was no more fight in Jason, then why are you holding him down? He's not fighting anymore. He's not trying to attack anybody. He's on the ground and he's not moving. And you said he has no more fight left. You witnessed that. So you should have been encouraging your boys to back off.
Yeah.
Right. Miss Sunshine says sometimes there are people who just interject, themselves just to feel important and just to sing the song of the crowd. Yeah, that's absolutely right. They just all of a sudden they're like, oh, let me jump in on this. Let me be part of this. Let me be a hero. Even though that's not what you were doing, because again, why did you let the man who brought the hatchet from his car leave the bar? There's plenty of witnesses that saw him with a hatchet that could have said, hey, you can't leave. You got to stay here. You got to wait. No, that didn't happen. Right. So Sandy says, yeah, his fight was done, detective. 5 guys on his back. He's dead. You killed him. Yeah. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Sandy and Miss Sunshine and Kara. This is horrible to have to go through, but this is important to take this to the next step, to be able to go through all these interviews and hear what is going on. All these interviews are part of the investigation into his death. And it's how in the world they decide not to charge anyone if they listen to all these interviews and they don't see anything wrong with any of this. And we're not even halfway through the interviews yet. I'm completely, shocked, but not shocked because, this kind of stuff happens all the time. He kept making subjective statements and the right behind say, I really don't know. Right. He'd say a statement, but then he'd say, I really don't know. Exactly. Well, he was high on drugs, but I really don't know. Oh, he was, I didn't see any hatchet, but I really don't know. Yeah. There was quite a bit of that going on. Absolutely. Miss Sunshine. I mean, it's really helpful to listen to these so that you can start to build this portfolio of evidence that you need to take this to the next level. And it's helpful to have others chime in with us and help us listen and look at this, as objectively as we can. But a lot of it's just common sense that this is not a proper way to handle an investigation with these witnesses. All right, let's finish with him so we can move on to Hatchet Man, and then we'll hopefully get the rest of them by next week so we can finish with all these audios and then figure out what your next steps are.
The deputy brought his arms back. He took control.
And they're redacting it. They are
double-cuffed.
blacking it out.
I just saw that there was definitely something
to try to
missing
help
there.
him get
They're
it, 'cause
blacking
he
it
couldn't
out.
get
They
the
do it with
other
a
arm.
lot
Yeah,
of
right.
EVPs.
They do.
So, but the guy,
I'm just going to roll that back a second,
I mean,
Kara.
it felt like he was. I'm 6 foot. He was probably 6'4", as tall as you, and weight. He was easy 350 pounds.
Okay, that's a big boy.
So I just
Holding
kept
it-
telling the boys, I said, "Don't let his arms go."
So holding his arms kept him down, or
Yeah.
anybody else have his legs or anything?
No, he was just kicking him, but he was on his face,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden he was done. It's
the
just,
fight was out. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's at 4:16. I'm just going to mark that down because he clearly says, and I wrote it down too, he was on his face and then all of a sudden he was just done. And even the detective says the fight was out of him. So the detective knows that Jason was no longer struggling and no longer fighting. That was at 14:14. And the prosecutor, the DA, that should have been a huge clue to them that something was very wrong.
he was just done, and I said, okay. I said, well, let him go. I said, and then I said, no, don't let him go. And then that one deputy was.
So you're Brian Martin. You not only inserted yourself, you're directing what's going on right now on the ground with these other men. You're directing the scene.
The glasses showed up, and he brought it. I mean, he was still. See, I don't. The deputy brought his arms back.
Yeah.
He took control because he double cuffed.
Mm-hmm.
Because and I was
Right.
holding his one arm to try to help him get it because he couldn't get the other arm.
Yeah, right. Big dude.
So but the guy, it felt like he was. I don't know. I didn't feel resistance, but I still felt like he was.
When you're holding his arm, he felt like he.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was like, yeah, I got you. It wasn't limp.
Yeah, no, yeah. He wasn't like,
Right.
He was. I don't know.
All right.
Because I know when as soon as the deputy walked in, he took his hand, he cuffed it, and he pulled it behind him, and he was trying to reach for the other hand, and I helped him pull it up.
Gotcha. Okay. And then after that happened, what'd you do?
Stood up. Deputy dropped his glasses. I put his glasses on the table, on the pool table, standing there. I said, "You good?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Let's all roll him over." Everybody helped roll him over. He was kind of there. Deputy was checking him for vitals.
Yeah.
And they started doing decompressions on him.
Was he bleeding from anywhere when they rolled him over?
Like he had a bump on his head.
Right above, right there, left eye.
Yeah, one eye. I don't remember which, but yeah, there was a bump, by this. But again, a goose egg, like like somebody,
Right.
like if he hit the table or.
You're not
if
a
he hit the
medical
ground.
doctor.
Gotcha.
You don't have any authority to
All
say
right. Did
how crucial this bump was.
So you'd been here since anywhere between 4 and 5:30. How were you drinking? What were you drinking?
Yeah, Captain and Diane.
Attaboy.
I probably had. Well, I paid my tab right before it all went down.
You did?
Yeah,
What was your tab?
like $16. So,
$16
and I
for
bought
4
around.
hours.
So
He's asking what his tab was, by the way, and that was with the other person too. He's trying to assess how drunk they all were, how drunk that was his kind of tactic. That's why he asked about how did you pay, how much did you pay, how much was your tab. I'm assuming that's just my guess.
that was,
Yeah, I gotcha.
it was a cheap night.
Yeah, right.
Again, how are you joking and laughing about how much you had to drink? It was a cheap night. Like someone just died. Like this interview is on the scene. It's not days later. Most people would be remorse. It's just, I don't understand people. This is just my whole mean people suck. I'm done peopling.
All right. You'd never seen that guy before?
Never.
How often you come up here?
A couple times not every week, but a couple times a week.
Yeah, here and there. Okay.
Thursday nights.
Not
sounds
every
like
week,
a
but a
Saturday
couple
there,
times a
so
week.
you would.
Well, he might be during the day.
Okay.
I do more evenings because I work during the day.
Gotcha. What do you do?
I'm a contractor.
Nice. All right.
So, I just right now I'm in Miami 3-4 days a week. So
Shit.
I come back up here. I got a job down. I did a big job down there. I'm doing that. So
You're commuting?
Not every day. I
Yeah,
mean,
when you go?
I'm down there from Monday to Thursday, and then I come back, and tell me about it. And I got to leave in the morning.
I know. I'm trying, man. You got to go where the money's at.
But no, we bid the job, so I just committed to doing it. It's going to be about a year and a half. I've been down there almost a year. So.
Okay. All right. Where do you stay around here?
I live up here on Pioneer.
What's that address?
2407.
No. Trying to get past that.
Who gives a shit?
All
Who
right.
cares?
That was it. Whoops. Let me turn that down. Why isn't it letting me stop it? There we go. I got it stopped, I think. Okay. Yeah. So again, it just seemed, I expect these witnesses that are getting, maybe I'm expecting too much of humans. I don't know, but I'm expecting witnesses that just witnessed a death right in front of them at a bar to be more upset, to be more concerned, to be more sad that a human life has passed. I'm just, so far we've listened to 3 witnesses and none of them sounded sad or upset or disturbed. I mean, I'm just kind of stunned. Miss Sunshine says he knew because he keeps protesting and saying, I just don't know. Yeah. It was just weird. It was a kind of an odd, strange occurrence with him constantly going back and forth, making a statement and then sort of retracting it, making a statement, retracting it. Anyway, I'll write up my notes on all of this and, eventually we'll decompress all of the interviews because they all have a lot of common threads and common issues. All right. So this is I'm going to see if you guys can hear this. If you can't hear this, okay, I'm not able to pull it up right now. I need it to be in my Google Drive in order to play it like I'm playing all these other witness interviews, which is right through the system. I'm going to see if this will work. So we'll give it a try. It's pretty, it's kind of a jury, as they call it, a jury rig way to do it. But let's just see if you can hear it. You guys just let me know if it's not clear enough. We'll play it next week because we're still waiting for all those other interviews anyway. So let me give it a try and see if we can hear what Hatchet Man has to say. Kara, mute because I'm going to mute. Well, I can't mute. So if you mute, that'll help with background noise.
Yes, sir. Are you Mr. Keeley? Or Keeney? Mike, excuse me. Okay. You're the property owner? Okay. Hey, listen. My name is Steve Wheeler. All right. I'm a detective with the sheriff's office.
You guys have been out here for several things.
Oh,
Did you find the guy that's trying to sell my property next door?
No, I don't.
Twice now. Same thing. My driver's license the first time with this picture, and the next time I was from Grand Prairie. But yeah, come on in. How are you?
Yeah, I just need to talk to Jay about
Jay's
something.
over
Okay, cool.
Oh, where'd it go? Hang on a second. Not sure where it went. Try it again.
Yes, sir. Are you Mr. Keeley? Or Keeney? Mike, excuse me. Okay. You're the property owner? Okay. Hey, listen. My name is Steve Wheeler. All right. I'm a detective with the sheriff's office.
You guys have been out here for several things.
Oh,
Did you find the guy that's trying to sell my property next door?
No, I know nothing about it.
Twice now. Same thing. My driver's license the first time with this picture, and the next time I was from Grand Prairie. But yeah, come on in. How are you?
Yeah, I just need to talk to Jay about something. Okay, cool. How are you guys doing today?
Everything's wonderful.
Outstanding.
Gentlemen, would like to go.
How you doing, buddy? I'm good. How you doing? I'm Steve Wheeler. This is my partner, Sean McGuire. You okay? Everything good with you?
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
You're not in any trouble. I'm not in trouble. So here's the thing. When people come up, they think they're in trouble. So I just like to put that out there. Anyway, come. Let's sit down. All right. Thanks.
You want a bottle of water or something?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. Thanks a lot.
Okay. All right. So you
No. We just need to talk here. Thank you. Yeah.
I think I know what this is about.
That's okay. What do you think it's about? Tell me what you think it's about.
Can't be spiritual.
Yeah. So I'm just going to preface it with, yes, we're here to talk about the incident at Cabbage Patch.
I'm a little hard to hear. Let him drive.
Yeah, I'm going to let him off.
Just ride.
That's fine. Selling bikes?
No, he just fixed it.
Oh, did he?
Test rides them before you.
You got some nice ones in there.
Okay.
I ride myself. I got a 03 Electric Light Classic. Yeah. So listen, so in reference to that incident, what have you heard about what happened?
There was a fight.
Okay.
With a big guy, and they restrained him and choked him or something.
Okay. So, yes, this guy passed away. All right. Did you know Jason Veach?
Oh, shoot. My phone keeps trying to close. Hang on. I'll go back and put it where we were. My phone keeps trying to close.
I don't know if it's as hard for everybody else, but I'm struggling to hear what Jay is saying.
Are you?
But I think that he's quiet in the beginning anyways, and then once he gets comfortable, he starts getting loud and talking shit.
Okay.
So
well, we could play it and we'll play it again next week when I get it downloaded to my drive.
Okay.
I've got it turned up as high as I can. We'll just play it for a little bit more and see if we can hear it.
Hard to hear. Let him drive.
Yeah, I'm going to let him off.
Just ride.
That's fine. Selling bikes?
No, he just fixed it.
Oh, did he?
Test rides them before you.
You got some nice ones in there.
Okay.
I ride myself. I got a 03 Electric Light Classic. Yeah. So listen, so in reference to that incident, what have you heard about what happened?
There was a fight.
Okay.
With a big guy, and they restrained him and choked him or something.
Okay. So, yes, this guy passed away. All right. Did you know Jason Veach?
No, I didn't.
Okay, that was his name.
Jason Veach.
Veach with a V. Yeah. So I will tell you right off the bat that his death is not the result of any injuries from a fight or anything like that. He was an unhealthy guy. Okay. We're still waiting on some things from the autopsy, but I just want to put that out there.
You do not put that out
The reason why I'm
there.
here talking to you today is because, from what I understand, you and Mr. Veach had a verbal, maybe a physical altercation because he was drunk, he was disrespecting Dawn, and
It keeps my phone. Could you hear it better now? I was holding it a little closer. My phone keeps trying to shut it down for some reason.
I ride myself. I got a 03 Electric Light Classic.
A fight.
Veach with a V. Yeah. So I will tell you right off the bat that his death is not the result of any injuries from a fight or anything like that. He was an unhealthy guy. Okay. We're still waiting on some things from the autopsy, but I just want to put that out there. The reason why I'm here talking to you today is because, from what I understand, you and Mr. Veach had a verbal, maybe a physical altercation because he was drunk, he was disrespecting Dawn, and sounds like you were standing up for Dawn's honor, and he got wordy with you and physical with you.
Well, he told me he was going to. There's a big guy there. Don't really know his name. He's big as him. And he's sitting on the corner, sitting on that corner. And he started with that guy. He said, "I'm not bad at Republican son of a bitch. He is down." And then he said, "I'm going to kick your ass." To this guy. And this guy was sitting to the side. And this big guy looking straight forward. He wouldn't look at him.
Yeah.
He goes, He looked at me. He goes, I'm not engaging.
The big Jason guy.
No. Yeah.
Oh.
The other guy.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
I'm not engaging. And then, slammed the goddamn bar. Was done with the serving, I guess. And he just looked at the big guy and me, and I looked at the TV, and he slammed the bar and he said, I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna kick his too.
Okay.
And he said to the big guy, and he pointed to me.
Okay.
He said, I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm gonna kick his too. And I'm thinking that. Anyway, the next thing you know, the shit was on. And I wound up over by the pool table. He picked me up and threw me.
He picked you up and threw you?
Yeah. And then they were all wrestling on the goddamn floor. And,
So he's already lying because he left and went to his car and got a hatchet. There's witnesses that he did this. There's witnesses that there was a hatchet. So he's lying right now to the detective, and they didn't count that for anything. He didn't get in trouble for lying to a police officer. At the very least, he's obstructing a police officer right now. He's lying.
when I finally got out from underneath the son of a bitch, I said, cops are coming. I'm not staying around to go to jail.
So now he just admitted that he wasn't going to stick around, that he wasn't going to get in trouble for disorderly conduct kind of shit. He's admitting to the detective that he purposely fled the scene.
Yeah. So I begged. They were still wrestling on the goddamn floor when I left.
Okay. You know how it is when you talk to a lot of people and you get this story and you get that story and you get all kinds of stories.
Everybody got a different story.
Right. But everybody we spoke to said that there was an axe involved, a hatchet. And when I saw it, it was on scene. It looked like a homemade jobby and it was pretty cool. Was that your hatchet? Did you smack the bar with it? Or do you know where that hatchet came from? Okay.
Oh, you are a liar. Freaking liar.
Because from what I'm gathering is that based on what I'm getting from the interviews where he was sitting, where you were sitting, and that somebody told me that a guy matching your description came in and just smacked the axe on the bar, basically saying, hey, knock your shit off. And then this guy grabbed you and threw you into the table. Is that true? It's okay if you did. Listen, what do you weigh?
170 pounds.
He weighs 311 pounds. How old are you?
70.
He's 40. You see the difference here? So you're not in any trouble.
I didn't kill him.
Nobody killed him.
But I'm worried. I ain't slept in 2 nights.
Did you hit him with the axe?
No.
Oops, I lost the audio. All right. So again, the detective should not be saying what he's saying to this witness, who is potentially, from what we know, obviously involved in this altercation and participated in revving up this altercation by going to his car and bringing a hatchet back into the bar, which he did not disclose at all, and then lied to the officer. He lied by omission, and then he lied. And now the officer's trying to kind of coerce it out of him by telling him you're not in any trouble, kind of trying to convince him that, oh, it's size, you're so much smaller than him, maybe he's trying to make him feel comfortable to admit that he had the hatchet so he can get a confession out of him of some sort. So there could be that going on. But again, nothing came of that. They didn't end up charging him with anything. They didn't even charge him with obstruction for the initial lying or for leaving the scene of a bar fight where he admitted that he left because he didn't want to get in trouble. So yeah, it's unreal to me. So let me go back again. Hang on a second. Got to figure out where we were.
Near the table, see, when he started pointing and And he started bad man. I really fell down.
I'm just trying to get back to where we were.
He came in, sat there, had a beer.
Was in there?
No.
What time?
And from there, I just had it in my belt. I was waiting on that.
Or not the axe side, but the handle side. So that's why we're here. I really want to get to the bottom of this. Hit him with the axe?
I'm just trying to go back to find where we were.
It's okay if you did. Listen, what do you weigh?
170 pounds.
It's not okay if you did.
Pounds. How old are you?
70.
He's 40. You see the difference here? So you're not in any trouble.
I didn't kill him.
Nobody killed him.
But I'm worried. I ain't slept in 2 nights.
Did you hit him with the axe?
No.
Okay. Then what are you worried about?
Fucking guy's dead. We were in a fight. Wouldn't I get with it?
Well, yeah. Yes, you're right. But I just want to make sure if you hit the bar or if you hit him, and if you hit him while he was attacking you, that size difference, I'm sure you would agree, you know, you got to do what you got to do to protect yourself. So that's why we're here. I really
No,
want to
you
get
don't
to
get to
this,
elevate to that
get the
level.
truth, and be able to hopefully put this thing to bed. Okay. Slam the bar with it. That pissed him off even
He just
more.
said, I'm not going to lie to you guys, but he did lie.
The axe and hit him with it at all? Not the axe handle side, or not the axe side, but the handle side. Can't remember.
When we went to the floor, we might.
So did you still have the axe in your hand when he grabbed a hold of you? Okay. All right.
So I'm just, because I wasn't out that night. I didn't go out to this. Just start all over again, because like the part when you told us what happened, you kind of forgot you didn't have the axe.
Yeah, so we'll just.
You kind of forgot.
Like how you got to the point where you got that. Did you have the tomahawk or whatever it is on you?
Yeah, I was going to sell it to somebody that didn't show up.
If you don't mind, just how that all came about. You showed up with it and you brought it in the bar, and from there.
I just had it in my belt. I was waiting on that guy to show up to buy it.
Okay.
I'm in trouble, ain't I?
No, you're not.
No.
When we're done talking, we're walking away. We're gonna get in our cars and drive.
I just wanted to know where it came into play. Like,
yeah,
we know it was obviously there, but like, did you have to go? Like, because he was acting up, did you have to go outside and get it? Did you already have it on you?
Yeah, that's all.
I'm just curious how it came into the bar.
I had it with me.
Okay. Because you had it in there to sell it to somebody. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. All right. So we'll start from the beginning. I know he came in on 2 occasions. Is that correct? Were you there the first time he was in there?
No.
What time did you get there?
I don't know, but the first time is start from the beginning.
Okay.
First time I saw him was at Charlie's Corner.
Gotcha.
He came in there, walled in on his bike, and nearly fell down. I thought he was drunk. And he came in, sat there, had a beer, was ready to go. So I walked out. I was in my van. My van was pointing towards the bar. Parked there by the telephone pole, pulled in off the road. Well, I was ready to go. He was outside at a table, and I went in, took a whiz, and I come walking by him, and he started bad-mouthing me.
At Charlie's?
At Charlie.
Oh, so it started over there.
Interesting. So they were already in it.
Saying I'm the bad motherfucker around.
Yeah, I heard he was pretty amped up.
He's a pretty big guy. I don't want to fuck with
Right, who would?
him. I got in my truck, and he was sitting there at the table with people, and he started pointing and yakking. And they all looked around at me. I don't know what he said. I couldn't hear him because they're like from here that tree away. I'm like, man, this motherfucker's looking for trouble, and I'm not, you know. So I went over to Cabbage Patch, and Dawn was telling me, Dawn and I are pretty friendly, and we talk a lot.
Dawn and I are pretty friendly. We talk a lot. So if you recall from last week, Dawn could not give a description of Hatchet Man. She didn't know who he was. So there you've got lies there.
Dawn said that this big guy was in there fucking starting shit with Charlie, drinking his goddamn girlfriend's drinks or some shit.
Yep.
And she told him I'm son or whatever, and he left. And I said, "Was a good guy, black shirt?" She goes, "Yeah, it is." Well, 10 minutes later, he came walking in.
Oh, no shit.
Sat down. I looked at Dawn, and she said, "That's him." And I said, "The same guy over the fucking corner starting shit." And couldn't find nobody to take him up on a fight. I can't imagine why. Motherfucker's huge refrigerator. And then Mike come in, sit down, and shit, he started up, slapping the bar real loud, and I don't want to kick everybody's goddamn ass, and blah blah blah. So I was pretty scared that motherfucker gonna jump on me.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, slap me this thing.
So he started. At what point did he smash his glasses before he
smashed it? He wasn't slamming glasses. He didn't have one. He slammed.
He had sunglasses.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So there were some broken glasses on the bar. Did you see him slam his glasses on the bar or anything?
I didn't see that.
Yeah. So he comes in 10 minutes after you get there. Dawn says that's one, and he's trying to drink, and she's saying no.
Okay. She went back to the kitchen. I don't even. She knew what went down, but she went back into the kitchen.
Okay.
To get away from this ass, I'm thinking.
All right. So what started the altercation?
Him.
I get that.
But him slamming the bar, and he started with that's the other guy. I'm gonna kick your ass. And that guy's a pretty big boy too. And fuck, I don't remember. Next thing you know, we were going at it.
Yeah.
And
No, the next thing you know, you weren't going at it because you got a hatchet out of your pocket, supposedly. So now there's a little bit of controversy. Did he go to the car and get it, or was it in his belt? He brought it into a bar. But they weren't just going at it. He got the hatchet out before Jason ever attempted to touch him or lay a hand on him, according to what.
Yeah. I mean, again, Jason wasn't speaking to him at all. Had Jay not spoke to him or went over there, they would have never even talked. Jason was talking to the bartender, and the cops were already on their way. It was acknowledged. He took it upon himself to do that.
Right. All right, let's go back.
I was on the pool table getting pummeled.
So I bet. So
no, you weren't. Again, you had to take the hatchet out. You already said you were going to tell the truth. So how are you getting plummeted on the pool table? When did the hatchet come out? The hatchet, you're not telling the full story.
He hit the bar. What did he do? I just like to be able to write this out.
He leaped on.
Were you walking away and he came after you?
No, I was pretty much when I whacked the bar, he come off his seat like a fucking spring.
Okay.
Well, of course he did. You just whacked the bar with a hatchet.
Underneath him, getting pummeled, and these guys are trying to get him off. As soon as I got out from under his ass, I said, I'm out.
Okay. How did you guys go to the ground? Did he fall on top of you?
They picked me up and slammed me on the table, and the next thing we're on the floor.
Okay. Did he throw you to the floor and fall on top of you?
He leaped on me. We went down together.
Okay, so he jumped on you. Okay.
And where the axe went, I don't know.
All right.
I wish I hadn't had it on me.
You didn't hit him with it, did you? Doesn't matter. I mean,
I hit him with sharp rope.
What end did you hit him with?
Handle.
The handle? At what point did you hit him with the handle?
Right after I slapped the bar and he leaped on me.
Okay.
Okay, there it is. He just confessed that he hit the bar with the hatchet, which we saw the mark in the bar, and that he hit Jason with the butt of the hatchet. He just confessed.
Yep. As soon as Jason jumped up, he swung it and hit him again. And that is why Jason snatched him to the ground.
Exactly. So he became the aggressor. And he is correct that he his hatchet actions didn't contribute, but the hatchet didn't cause Jason's death, but the act of getting in this fight because he pulled a hatchet and hit the bar with it and then hit Jason with it, then inevitably caused his death because the patrons decided to hold the man down who didn't have a weapon, who didn't have the hatchet.
Yep. They were defending the aggressor. And that's what the state attorney told me. That's the reason why he's not in trouble, is because the hatchet is not what killed Jason. His exact words. The hatchet didn't kill Jason, therefore Keeney did nothing wrong.
Yeah, but he did do something wrong.
I agree.
Everybody that's been on living with us since we first met, and now that we actually get to hear him confess to what he did, and not only that, he lied in the beginning by not, when they asked him to tell the story, he didn't say anything about the hatchet, didn't talk about it. Now we'll finish listening to this next week because I know you worked all night, and I'm glad that it was able to be heard, but I'd rather get it on the Google Drive where I can play it through the system because I'd actually like to listen to it again. I am just completely at a loss to how they, in their wisdom, do not see that Jason was verbally arguing. He didn't attack anyone. He didn't have a weapon. He didn't throw a punch. He didn't do anything aggressive until a hatchet was brought out and slammed on the bar. I don't understand the thinking of this. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. It's just completely egregious. And Miss Sunshine says he wasn't scared of Jason. No way in hell he would have gone after Jason with or without the hatchet if he was scared of Jason's size. Yeah, exactly. He would have left. He would have just left, or he would have, like he said earlier, I don't want to get involved in this. I wasn't going to do this. Well, yes, you did though. You did get involved in it. So who reported that he left and came back in with the hatchet? Because he's saying that he had it on him the whole time in his belt.
Dawn says it. Tori says it. Tori's exact words are, I saw the man walk outside, come back in with a hatchet, and walk straight up to Jason, is his exact statement.
So that's in writing. So it'll be interesting when we finally do get the audio from the other witnesses then to match all this up, because he's claiming that he had it with him, brought it into the bar, and it was already in his belt.
Yeah,
so
he said he was meeting somebody there to sell it to them, but that's already a lie, because he said he was at Charlie's and he left because Jason was messing with him. So you all of a sudden were just at the bar to sell the hatchet? That's not true.
Right. And why would you bring a hatchet into a bar anyway? It makes zero sense. And
he didn't bring it into the bar. He didn't have it in his belt. He went and got it. People saw him go and get it, and they're ignoring that.
Right. Exactly. So that's what we have to piece together, all these witnesses. We have to come up with a really good written document of all of the witness statements and where the contradictions are. And then, that's going to have to be presented to higher powers than Volusia County sheriffs, obviously, because they're not going to reopen this case unless somebody forces them to. So we have to put together this organized book of all of the investigation that we're doing on our own of what exactly happened and what led to, him being held down and then inevitably passed away, not because he was in poor health. He passed away because he was being held down by too many people and he couldn't breathe. So Sandy says Hatchet Man knew his buddies would go to his defense, so he wasn't scared of Jason. Right.
Correct. 100%. That's exactly what it is. He was acting big and bad because his buddies were there. That's what he was never one time scared. Does he sound scared in this interview? No, he's talking shit and calling a dead human being names still to this. I'm telling you guys, I'm not going to tell y'all. But I'm going to, it's bullshit. That's all it is. It's bullshit.
Yep. Yeah. It's just, again, there's too many inconsistencies with the different witnesses. I was there. This is a very small bar. Everyone heard every word and saw everything that was going on.
Why didn't he ask this guy where Jason was sitting? oh, how is he poking the guy in the arm if he's 4 seats down from you? How
Right,
did that happen?
right,
How is
right.
he poking you?
Whoops, because here's the corner. This is the corner. Effectively, this is where the bar is an L. So if you're looking at this photo, the gentleman there in the foreground on the right side, he's at the end of the L, and then there's room for 2 seats in the corner of the L, and then over from that is where I was sitting. I was
Lie
sitting
down.
right before you get to the L. So then this view is then the rest of the L, to the left of the corner, and the door is in the far right out of the picture. And Jason was sitting approximately where either the first or the second circle is, and I was sitting just to the right of there. And the hatchet mark on the bar is right near where Jason would have been sitting. So that's just all proven by me being in the bar. And so now we have it out of his own mouth that he finally admitted that he did hit the bar with the butt of the hatchet, which is where it left this impression. And then he did admit that at first he said, I might have struck Jason on the way to the ground, but then he, a little bit later, you heard him say, I did strike Jason on the way to the ground, and then I don't know what happened to the hatchet. So how in the world they can, again, let's go back to Florida Stand Your Ground. Okay. Let's go back to that. Oh, wait, sorry. Got to go the other direction. Let's just close out the night again, reviewing Florida Stand Your Ground, because the detective is basically then giving him that by saying you had every right to do that. You weigh 170, he weighs 350. He would, again, threatening to strike someone, threatening to punch someone is not punching or striking them. So at that point, Jason hadn't been physical with anybody. He was just being a loudmouth. He was just being drunk, which they all attested to in the interviews that we've heard. So again, with Florida Stand Your Ground law, they are not engaged in criminal activity. No, neither one of them were. Or in some states, just bringing the hatchet into the bar automatically is hatchet man engaging in a criminal activity, because you can't bring weapons into a public place. They are in a place where they have a right to be. Yes, they both did. They reasonably believe it is necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm to themselves or another. Jason wasn't attacking anyone else. He didn't touch anyone else. He didn't punch anyone else. He didn't show a weapon, say he had a weapon. So again, that is strike right there. So you're automatically discounted from being able to say that he was standing his ground. And they reasonably believe it is necessary to prevent the commission of a forcible felony. No. So we're right back to that again, that hatchet man did not have any reason to get his hatchet out. None. He wanted to. He wanted to be the big man on campus. He wanted to do that. He wanted to lose his temper and get his hatchet out and slam it on the bar to show that he was a bigger and badder than Jason. That's what happened. And that's what caused then Jason to defend himself from someone who is now threatening him with a weapon. How that is being discounted and not included in any type of charges, my mind is blown. This is just insane.
Well, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it, is in fact, Jason wasn't threatening anybody. Jason didn't say anything to him until he said something to him. Till Jay Keeney says, Jason was talking to the bartender. He wasn't trying to fight the bartender. He called her a name. So again, he wasn't trying to fight.
But according to him, he says that Jason was saying, I'm going to kick all your asses. I'm going to do this and do that. But does anybody else say that?
I've never heard him say that.
Nobody else testified to that. I mean, nobody else witness testimony was to that effect,
correct.
Right? He was the only one.
That's right.
Right. So he's CYOAing right now, covering his own ass by making it out like Jason was threatening to beat up people and hurt people, even though no one else said that.
Correct. So therefore, I don't believe anything he says. He started off with a lie.
Oh, I don't either. I mean, he thought he was going to play it, hoping that maybe nobody said anything about the hatchet. He was going to play it until the officers actually said, well, I'm sorry, actually someone fitting your description was seen having, hitting the bar with a hatchet. Was that you? I mean, he was going to play it until he could, until he absolutely had to say, oh, well, okay, now I'm going to tell you the truth. So at the very least, they should have had him for interfering in a police investigation. I mean, it's just utterly insane to me that they chose not to give him any type of a citation for any of his behavior whatsoever. It's just, this is horrible. I'm again terribly sorry, Sandy, for the loss of your son, Miss Sunshine, your friend, your Kara, obviously your husband. This was a horrible tragedy, but horrible tragedies happen, and sometimes it is no one's fault. There are tragedies, and when I first met you, I didn't know. My jury was out. I didn't know if this was just a tragedy that nobody can pay for, because sometimes there is nobody to pay. But that is not the case here. There is ample reasons why Jason should be alive today and not have been held down to that long of a period of time where he couldn't breathe. And now how the investigation's been handled is very poor. And Madison Audits, who was a South Daytona police officer, agreed with everything that I have commented and said. And I agreed with what he said. We're in complete agreement. Sorry about that. That was my phone. We're in complete agreement on how this case was not handled properly. And there should be manslaughter charges. And that obviously it wasn't a premeditated M word. It wasn't a premeditated unaliving. It was a terrible tragedy, but when people drive drunk and they hit someone, they are held accountable if someone passes away. If you do something, if your actions cause the death of someone else, then that is the definition of manslaughter. So we will listen to the rest of the audio. I'll get this so it is a little bit cleaner for you. We'll get it on the platform next week. And then we'll listen to the rest of the ones we do have now. And then we'll hopefully get the key. Interestingly enough, the ones that are missing are the three gentlemen that helped hold him down. And those are the three audio interviews that we don't have, that we're missing. So we will reconvene next Wednesday or Thursday, whatever night works best for Kara, or any night that works best for you. To be honest with you, we can reconvene. So thank you to Jason's mom, Sandy, and Miss Sunshine. Is Miss Sunshine your friend, or is that your sister?
It's my sister's mother-in-law.
Oh, your sister's mother-in-law. Oh, thank you, Miss Sunshine. I love your handle, and that's wonderful. Thank you so much for being here and contributing to our live discussion. I really appreciate you, and I'm terribly sorry for all of your losses. I'll continue to do what is in my power to do to help you to try to get this case reopened or turned over to another agency, because I feel that in some ways Volusia County is now tainted, and they would have to recuse themselves anyway. So this is not over. There's a long fight ahead, people. So thank you for everything you do to support Kara. And thank you for supporting Social Change Warriors and all of our other victims of horrific crimes and injustices that we're standing for. And I appreciate all of you. If you have any questions, I'll put up my contact info here as we close out the night with, I'm going to put up our Thursday theme video, because tomorrow night is calling out corruption, and we don't have a guest scheduled for tomorrow night. So I think what I'll be doing is reviewing the cases of Ellen Greenberg and Sandra Birchmore. They have very similar, eerily, they're just states away, one in Massachusetts, one in Pennsylvania, and very eerie similar situations going on where they were both framed for their own deaths by their significant others. So we will do a recap of both of those unfortunate passings tomorrow night. And then Friday, I'll be back with Friday Night Lies. We're going to finish the Brian Albert testimony and move on into his children, Brian Albert Jr. and Caitlin, where there are more evasive. Obviously, I don't know that Brian Albert Jr. actually lied, but he was definitely evasive. I'm not convinced that he even really knew what happened. I don't know for sure, but there's a chance. It's all just such a shit show in Massachusetts, guys, with the Sandra Birchmore case and the death of John O'Keefe. It's hard. If you don't know about it, it's hard to explain it to you. But there's plenty out there if you want to catch up, like Kara has. She's now getting caught up on what happened to John O'Keefe and how we believed that Karen Reed was framed for his his death. So we're looking at 3 different deaths where the wrong person was framed for it. In case of Ellen Greenberg, they framed her. In Sandra Birchmore, he framed her, and then Karen is being accused of something she didn't do, so they're framing her. So it's corruption and collusion and all kinds of nastiness. It's just hard to even believe it. It's like we're watching a movie or reading a book, right? It just doesn't seem possible that this can happen in our communities, but it does, and it is. And there's a lot of other cases out there that we aren't even covering right now because we simply don't have time, that are also involving crime and corruption. So thanks to everybody who joined us live tonight. Thank you to everyone who cares about the victims that we're standing for and their families. And I'll be back tomorrow night. Kara, I'll speak to you and talk to you soon. And thank you again. Kara gave me this lovely gift last night. This is Princess Warrior. I wanted to show her to all of you, the Disney princess. Merida? Yeah. Merida. And she was kind enough to give my son one as well from the, what was that one again?
He's got Star-Lord.
Yes, Star-Lord, and he was thrilled with it. He said it was his favorite series, and he was so grateful. So thank you again for these cute little gifts that you gave us. I have her right here by my computer. So I'm going to take us out with tomorrow night's video for calling out corruption, and I'll see you all tomorrow and hopefully Friday. Please be good to each other. Take care of each other and continue to support your community and call out crime and corruption when and if you can. It's just us.
They try to silence the truth we shout, but we're still here, we're still calling out. Corruption hides behind a badge and name. We light the fire, expose the shame. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. The stories echo, the pain runs deep. For stolen lives we can't just weep. Elected power but their hearts are cold. We'll bring the truth, let it be told. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight for every voice lost in the night. My life mattered is the cry we sing for the ones they tried to bury within. It's just us, we're a movement wide. Together we rise, won't run nor hide. We're justice seekers, we'll fight the fight. The heroes undo the harm. Calling out corruption, we'll stand tall for justice and truth.